Plumbing, Heating and AC. Call 888-4BOB. Remember 913.
Better call Bob, the Wizard of Clogs. Right now, get your main line open for just $99, plus a free camera inspection. Wow. If your yellow brick road has been backing up, give us a call today for our $99 mainline special. Did I mention our no place like home 100% peace of mind guarantee? 888-4BOB, remember 913.
Bob Hamilton Plumbing, Heating and AC. Call 888-4BOB. Remember 913.
Welcome to Elevated Automotive, Kansas City's newest dealership. They're excited to announce Infinity of Kansas City has acquired Nissan. Now they have 2 great brands in one convenient location. Visit them at I-35 and 67th Street for your 5-star treatment. Elevated Automotive. They're here to elevate your automotive experience. ElevatedAutomotive.com.
Stephen St. John here for my friends at Metcalf Car Star. More and more people are back on the road. If you get hit by a distracted driver, call the experts at Auto Collision Repair. Go to carstar.com and search Metcalf Car Star. Metcalf Car Star. Relax. They'll take it from here.
The expanded NFL playoffs are here. While the Chiefs rest up for round 2, sit back and enjoy exclusive live coverage of all 6 NFL playoff matchups this weekend on Sports Radio 810 and ESPN Kansas City. 3 games Saturday, 3 games Sunday to kick off the NFL playoffs. Right here on your home for Super Bowl 55, Sports Radio 810. WHB, presented by CBD American Shaman, Complete Home Concepts, and Victory Ford.
WHB Kansas City.
Isn't this a sports show?
I'm trying to take risks and take chances, get messy, like Miss Frizzle told me to do. Magic School Bus reference for 7 people. Okay, good. I got it. Don't worry. Take chances, make mistakes, get messy. That's what it was. Shout out to Miss Frizzle.
Almost entirely.
I was homeschooled, so she was like my,
She was your science teacher.
She was my science teacher. Yeah, that's exactly right.
That was Bill Nye. How dare you?
Hey, Beards, you honestly think Josh's mom would let him watch Bill Nye? No way.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
You think I was reading Harry Potter for fun, Beards? Are you kidding me?
So Wishbone was your English class.
You're damn right. Yeah! You're damn right. Wishbone was my English class. Absolutely.
Take the show with you by listening on the Sports Radio 810 mobile app at 810WHB.com or by searching for Almost Entirely Sports wherever you get your podcasts.
I was basically educated on PBS.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, I'm not complaining. Great.
Look at us now.
Yeah, look at us.
This is Almost Entirely Sports on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
I only regret that we haven't spent more time as a show talking about Cyber Chase and how there are still things from that show that I remember. And I'm pretty sure that I've already deleted everything else that I could have possibly learned through that stage of my life. Welcome to Almost Entirely Sports. I remain on the COVID reserve list for the time being. Don't know where exactly. Close contact still. We're still in close contact territory, but no alarms sounded at the moment. It's just why my microphone sounds a little worse than it would if I was in the building. The good news is Rudy Salazar, Beers McFly, both in the building right now, and you can see them and my flat face. If you look at the Sports Radio 810 Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch channels, you can watch the show there. You can't see me right now. You can see them, and then I imagine you can see my flat face on a snowman. I haven't checked for myself yet, but I don't imagine that changing anytime soon.
It is on a snowman.
All right, have we fixed the JB Brisco sign that it holds? It's really, the wear and tear there has gotten pretty aggressive.
What's your definition of fixed? I mean,
no,
it's there.
It looks worse. It looks worse, actually.
I mean, it is there. If by fixed you mean is it there? It is there.
At this point, I should count my blessings. I should just be glad that we've made it that far. We will talk about a bunch of football today. I hope that's all right with everybody. We'll talk to Breland Moore of KCTV5 at 8 o'clock, and then Jordan Foote will make his official Almost Entirely Sports debut at 9 to talk about what he's doing in terms of an enormous pre-draft undertaking, plus all sorts of stuff going on in the Chiefs world to talk to him about. He's been doing great work over at Arrowhead Report, and I'm excited to talk to him tonight as well. I don't know if he'll bring the like medieval sort of trivia news and all of that Breland is going to almost certainly bring here in an hour. But regardless, looking forward to talking to both of them tonight, among all of the other things that we have coming around right now. One thing, though, and for what is for me my favorite story of the day, with apologies to Dustin Colquitt, who has signed with the Chiefs practice squad, which is a very good story in a sentimental kind of, not totally empty gesture way that the Chiefs had Tommy Townsend's brother, Johnny Townsend, on the practice squad. He's with the Ravens now, so the Chiefs actually have carried 2 punters for a good portion of the season. Bringing Dustin Colquitt back actually makes legitimate sense because of the double Townsending that they had, but bringing specifically Dustin Colquitt in obviously creates an opportunity for him to win a second ring with the Chiefs, even though he won't be the one actually out there punting unless something happens to Tommy Townsend, which in a COVID year, you like to have some consistency with your punter and holder and all that. So that's a wonderful sort of smaller story, feel-good story in a way that I didn't think we would see this day again. I thought that he would probably stick somewhere else in the NFL this year and then retire in a year or two, and that would just sort of be the awkward ending. But this year he spent time with the Jags and Buccaneers and started with the Steelers. Now Dustin Colquitt's coming back to the Chiefs practice squad. Great story, fun story. You love to see it. But not the story of the day today. Because, here's how I'd like to introduce this element of the conversation. And Rudy and Beards, I would very much like your input on this first bit. Is there a chance, just a chance, is there a chance that we owe Bill O'Brien any form of apology?
No.
No?
Okay, fair enough. That's fine. I'm okay with that.
Here's my only argument for an apology. Maybe it's not fully recognizing that, hey, it wasn't Bill O'Brien's fault, that it was indeed Bob, and that we shouldn't shame somebody, who has 2 personalities. Maybe
totally fair.
That I think there might be a legitimate, argument there, but one of them certainly doesn't deserve an apology.
All right, fair enough. My I think you're right. First of all, I'm not going to go the other way on that one. I think that we have given Bill O'Brien / Bob a perfectly reasonable amount of credit / blame for what's happened to the Texans recently. In fact, Beards, if you want to get Josh Reads the Internet ready here, I'd like to read a couple paragraphs from a story from Adam Schefter in just a minute. But what I think we're seeing from the Texans, and there was a wonderful story. Wonderful is a weird way of phrasing it. There was a fascinating story on SI a while back about Jack Easterby, who has climbed the ladder in Houston in a truly bizarre way. I don't know. We still really don't know to what extent he's been involved in this process. The Texans have said some things and then done others. But what we found out is, Bill O'Brien or not, the rot in the Houston Texans organization seems to have gotten either higher or lower than Bill O'Brien in his time there. And now look, again, I think that Bill O'Brien deserves all of the gripes that have been levied against him. But the Jack Easterby story is bonkers. And then we found out, I think yesterday, that the Texans officially hired Nick Caserio as their new general manager. I'm 92% sure I said his name correctly. And that's fine. He was a Patriots executive. I saw him described as the de facto GM in New England, with Bill Belichick being, the guy. You can say whatever you want about this particular hire, but the Texans apparently went through a process of having a whole consulting firm, and they went through and got all these candidates and had these interviews and had more lined up, and then Nick Caserio gets the job despite not being on the recommended list from the search firm they had hired. Super bizarre. But I saw that as being a medium-sized red flag. They gave him a long deal for a lot of money, but also the Texans, weirdly enough, like they are in a bit of a rebuilding phase because they have so few picks. But they also got cap space because they didn't want to spend it on DeAndre Hopkins. And most importantly, they have Deshaun Watson.
I thought you were going to say David Johnson.
Well, do they?
Well, they do in the immediate sense. And they also have Duke Johnson, Rudy, which I think is important. Johnson & Johnson in the back.
That's true.
It's really important.
It's a heck of a law firm.
It really is. And a soap company, I think, largely. Ian Rappaport tweeted this a little bit ago, within the last hour or so. Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson is extremely unhappy with the organization after owner Cal McNair informed him that he would be involved in the GM and coach hiring process and provide feedback. But then did neither in the hire of GM Nick Caserio, sources say. Deshaun Watson has not spoken to Texans brass in the last few days, though they have tried to call him. Go ahead and give me Josh Reads the Internet here from a story on the same topic from Adam Schefter on ESPN.com.
And now, Josh Reads the Internet.
By hiring former New England Patriots executive Nick Caserio to solve a large set of problems within the organization, the Houston Texans have created additional ones with star quarterback Deshaun Watson. Watson offered his input on potential general manager candidates, but the Texans neither considered nor consulted with those endorsed by their franchise quarterback, league sources told ESPN. Additionally, the Texans did not inform Watson that they intended to hire Caserio, and he found out about the hire on social media. That contributed to Watson taking to Twitter that night to post, quote, "Some things never change, ... Watson's feelings were not directed towards Caserio, sources told ESPN, but instead were indicative of the way business was again conducted by the Texans. Last offseason, Houston didn't let Watson know that star wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins would be traded, which led to some disappointment. Now that it has happened again, Watson is said to be infinitely more bothered, sources told ESPN. All right, that's the end of my reading. There are two ways I think that you can reasonably go with this, and the Texans have gone neither of these ways. Especially with the original tweet from Rappaport here. You are free to either involve your franchise quarterback in these types of conversations or not. I would. We'll come back to that in a second. But at the very absolute minimum, don't lie to your franchise quarterback about the amount of input that he's going to have, especially if some of those conversations came before he ended up signing that massive contract extension that essentially said, all right, Houston, you have me locked in here for a good long while. It's not as long as Patrick Mahomes' deal, certainly, but it is substantial. Rudy, can you grab the official contract terms for me on what Watson's contract ended up being? With all of that, though, it's still a tremendous commitment from both sides. But whenever you're a quarterback that can't confidently say that your team is telling you the truth, whenever you have voluntarily signed on to this long-term deal, and maybe he would have done it regardless, you want to get that guaranteed money in your first contract, I totally get that. But you have to have some feeling of this being collaborative in some way, especially whenever they clean house. They clean house, your quarterback is locked in. What is the most important thing for the Houston Texans for the next 5 years? It's Deshaun Watson, and in turn, his relationship with the head coach, and really, even beyond that, the GM and the ownership in some way. I don't think that you have to run every decision you make past every quarterback. But, you know, there was a story from Brett Veach on draft night where he and Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes have a group text running, and he said that he liked Clyde at 32. I don't know that he got to make the pick. I'm guessing that was Andy Reid being excited about Clyde, Brett Veach being. I'm guessing those were all guys on the same page there. But you don't want your franchise quarterback, and Deshaun Watson is one, to be left guessing if you're being told the truth by in some ways your immediate bosses and in other ways your peers. Deshaun Watson is going to be the peer of his head coach. Andy Reid is more accomplished than anyone that they'll hire, has been in the league longer than anyone that they'll hire, is generally more impactful than anyone the Texans will be able to hire in 1,000 different ways. And yet, Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid are, for all intents and purposes, peers. They're both very valuable to this team, and if you're going to say you can only have one from this point forward, everyone would say, well, we want to make sure you have Patrick Mahomes. And eventually, Patrick Mahomes will play without Andy Reid coaching him. Hopefully it doesn't happen for a long time. I genuinely think Andy Reid could probably will coach out the rest of his contract, which just got extended for another 5 years beyond where it was going to end already. I think it's through 6 or 7 years from this point on. I really think Andy Reid's probably coaching this team in 2027 or whatever. But that has to be collaborative. You have to have the trust of your top 3 NFL quarterback, which is where I think Deshaun Watson belongs. And if the Texans don't feel that strongly about him, like 26 NFL teams should be blowing up their phone right now, trying to figure out the math of his contract and what it would cost to get him out of there. Because if that relationship really is broken, the Texans will be able to cash in on it. They're just never going to have another quarterback as good as Deshaun Watson within the next 15 years, which is an incredible thing to mess up because you couldn't interview the guy that he thought would be a good general manager candidate. You couldn't stay in touch about how those processes were going. He doesn't have to rubber stamp every move they make in the front office, but don't you think that you would like him to not find out about it on social media? That's crazy. And I think that if you're Deshaun Watson, probably the thing that's kept him from answering the phone the last couple of days is that doesn't make you feel very good about how they feel about you and how they value you. If you're Deshaun Watson finding out about the new GM of your team on social media, you feel like they value you as much as they value just any dude 2/3 of the way down the depth chart or just a bunch of fans on social media, and they should value you more than that because you're Deshaun bleeping Watson. What was his contract, Rudy?
So he signed a 4-year extension for $156 million that starts in 2022. So essentially, he had when he signed it prior to this year, he still had 6 years remaining, including this year. $73 million guaranteed at signing, $110 total guaranteed.
There was a video that I saw today. I don't remember where. You could probably Google it, or if you Twitter search it for the specific words I'm about to tell you. You should be able to find it if you want to watch it yourself. There's a video of J.J. Watt and Deshaun Watson walking off the field, presumably after their last game of this season. And J.J. Watt says, "I'm sorry. We wasted one of your years. We should have been an 11-win team this year." J.J. Watt is walking off the field apologizing to Deshaun Watson. Rightfully so. Not that it's J.J. Watt's fault.
Right
but like
in front of a camera, too.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I don't know what their realizations were about their surroundings and everything, but you're right. That was very close and something that got caught and then put out there. And by the way, I don't know who with half a brain in that organization or locker room would disagree with that. They should have won more games than they did this year. The only person J.J. Watt's probably subtweeting there is Bill O'Brien because he kind of tanked them, and then got fired, so he doesn't have to project his feelings anymore. And they apparently, and Watt and Bill O'Brien allegedly did not have a good relationship, especially at the end there. So maybe that is sort of a not very thinly veiled shot across that particular bow. But it's just baffling to me, and to pinpoint back to Kansas City right now. This is how badly you can do so much right. You can get the quarterback right. The Texans did. The Texans they didn't get it Patrick Mahomes right, but gosh, they got it right. You can get the franchise quarterback correct right from the jump, and you can start playing him in the second half of his first game as a rookie. You can do the hardest thing in this sport is to find the quarterback who is incredible while he's still on his rookie deal. You can do that and still not win anything. His offensive line was not good enough for a very long time. It still really isn't. But in the process, they gave up a bunch of draft picks and traded away his best pass catcher in a way that is comical in retrospect. It was comical at the time. And they, in J.J. Watt's own words, wasted one of the years of Deshaun Watson and maybe the single most valuable one. Because you're at your peak on that rookie deal, but it's not getting really pricey yet. I think next year might also still technically qualify, and they're going to be going into next year with no draft picks, a new GM, and a new head coach. It's just, there are so many ways you can end up stubbing your toe and just keep, you stand on a rake and it pops up and hits you in the face like every cartoon ever. There's so many of those scattered across every field in the NFL where you find ways to keep yourself from winning, and then you have guys like Patrick Mahomes and teams like the Chiefs putting more rakes out in the yard so you keep stepping on them. But the Texans did the most important thing. They got the most important evaluation right. And right now, there is a largely talentless team with no head coach, a broken relationship between leadership and their franchise quarterback, and a not particularly bright future, even with the quarterback position being correct. It's unbelievable to me. And I hope it makes you, listener, right now, appreciate that the Chiefs got the quarterback right after getting the head coach right, and they even had a change at GM, with John Dorsey to Brett Veach. And there have been things they've gotten, questionably correct, from draft picks that definitely didn't work to some that may or may not, to, how on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the Sammy Watkins and Frank Clark signings? I don't know. I really still don't, because their sort of average production hasn't validated it, but their postseason production has, and I could really argue a case, for a 4 or for a 9 on either of those. But the mistakes they've made, they've worked around. And at absolutely no point, since week 2 of Patrick Mahomes' first season as the starter, and really maybe even just since they drafted him, because everything got handled very professionally, at no point was there a reasonable conversation about tensions or concerns that it was going to blow up on some level. Never any of that. We had conversations about getting the math right for Mahomes' deal and Travis Kelce's deal and Chris Jones' deal, with Frank Clark's already there. They made a change at GM that did not in any way feel derailing. I think that we could only grow to appreciate the Chiefs more because getting the quarterback right is not an immediate free pass through every other mistake, which we should know on some level because, Peyton Manning only won 1 Super Bowl with the Colts. Drew Brees only has 1. Aaron Rodgers only has 1. It's still really hard even whenever you have the right quarterback. But this Texans story is just flabbergasting to me. They let this relationship with their quarterback get so poisoned. I went through some teams, and Beards and Rudy both. If you want to add or subtract names to this list, let me know. But I went through, because I tweeted that 28 teams should call the Texans about this and about Deshaun Watson, and that was a very, very rough number, and I honestly hadn't thought about the Texans can't call themselves. I was thinking that there are about 4 teams that probably don't need Deshaun Watson. The Chiefs,
Raiders.
the Bills, the Seahawks, not the Raiders.
Broncos.
Nope. The Packers
Bears.
and the Ravens. No. Those 5 teams are not calling. Kansas City, Buffalo, Seattle, Green Bay, Baltimore, they're not calling. I would rather have, for the next 10 years, Deshaun Watson and then Aaron Rodgers. I love Aaron Rodgers. I would rather have Deshaun Watson than Lamar Jackson. I might have a case on Deshaun Watson and Russell Wilson that is, slightly age-based there, and I would rather have him than Josh Allen. So, if you're going to say 10 years for a quarterback, I think Deshaun Watson's probably number 2 on my list, but I don't expect any of those teams to call, and it's fine. Like a straight-up Lamar Jackson for Deshaun Watson trade would be absolutely nuts, and I just don't expect it. That's all fine, though. The Chargers, Bengals, and Cardinals are probably not calling either, but I think they're extremely interesting for reasons that I'll get to in a second. But counting the Texans and those first 5 teams, that's 6 and then 3 more. You've got 9 teams in the NFL that I don't expect that maybe you can make an argument that they should not move heaven and earth to try to get Deshaun Watson. The Cardinals should. I would be very interested as the Bengals or the Chargers because both Herbert and Burrow have shown excellence, and their contract is still very light, but they're both a little less of a sure thing than Deshaun Watson, especially with Burrow's injury. Herbert looks incredible, but if I would rather have Deshaun Watson than Herbert or Burrow in just pick one, and even carrying the contracts, because with Deshaun Watson, you are 100% sure.
Can I add?
Your mic come on, Beards.
Can I add one more team to you? They're definitely not going to call list.
Sure.
It's the Titans, because then they have an actual quarterback and they're not just handing it off to Derrick Henry every time.
Here's the crazy thing. I thought about the Titans because I just think they really like Ryan. It seems like they really like Ryan Tannehill. Deshaun Watson in Tennessee would be so interesting to me. I would be. A.J. Brown would become a god amongst men even more so than he currently is.
Yeah, Tennessee should consider that for. One, Deshaun Watson is an upgrade. He's also younger. I gotta say though, we can't make fun of Ryan Tannehill anymore. Like, Ryan Tannehill's legit good.
No, we kind of can.
No, he's legit been really good since he left Adam Gase.
Yeah,
Adam Gase is just I've just learned Adam Gase nightmare. Now, still, Tennessee, if Houston was like, yeah, we'll trade Deshaun Watson for Ryan Tannehill and whatever, unless that whatever is A.J. Brown and Derrick Henry and, their offensive line, unless it's literally everybody, I guess. Like, yeah, Tennessee should make that trade. I'm just saying Ryan Tannehill is actually good.
How many of these teams would you here's what I would say though is I'm gonna just rattle off. I've just got a team. I got NFL logos up in front of me right now. How many of these teams would you say you should not give up your first round pick this year, your first round pick next year, and your best position player? You put him in Arizona, Atlanta, Carolina, Chicago. I would say the Bengals, the Browns, the Cowboys, the Broncos, the Lions, the Colts, the Jags, the Raiders, the Chargers, the Rams, the Dolphins, the Vikings, the Patriots, the Saints, the Giants, the Jets. The Eagles are going to be a mess, but they should try to figure it out. The Steelers post-Roethlisberger, the 49ers, the Buccaneers post-Brady, the Titans now, Washington. Literally every one of those teams, every single one of those teams would add 3 wins to their over-under by adding him and by losing some draft picks. This is one of the simplest equations that NFL GMs are ever going to be given in terms of opportunity cost versus actual return on investment. Your options are be able to take somebody in the first round of the next couple of drafts, or get one of the 3 guys that we know is elite at the most important position in sports. Like, this one's just not that hard.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you. Honestly, for me, I think there might only be 2 teams that I would, if I'm the teams, I say no just because I just fully believe in them. And it might, and one of these teams is obvious. It's the Chiefs. The other one, I feel like I'm crazy for saying this, but it might be the Bills. I think Josh Allen might legit end up being long-term one of the 3 best quarterbacks in the NFL. But if I'm the Packers, Aaron Rodgers is outstanding. He's probably going to win the MVP. But you get a significantly younger quarterback for a guy who is, I would say, is absolutely in that tier.
Fans would hate that, though.
Oh, well, of course. Well, Aaron Rodgers
isn't as Jordan Love. I don't know.
Aaron Rodgers isn't as liked in Green Bay as most quarterbacks are.
And that's part of it. They just drafted a quarterback in the first round.
Yeah.
They're not worried about disrespecting Aaron Rodgers at this point.
And if I'm Seattle, same thing. And it's not, it's nothing against Russell Wilson. It's just, again, you get younger, and at the very least, I think Deshaun Watson's better than Russell Wilson, but at the very least, they're in that same tier, right? So even if you think Russell Wilson's better, it's such a marginal difference that I think the age factor completely offsets that. And then there are other teams I believe in Justin Herbert, but Deshaun Watson's an upgrade.
No. Yeah, because it's 100%. You're 100% sure.
Now, if the Chargers said, yeah, we're not interested because we have Justin Herbert, I'd be like, okay, I get it. But also, that's a move you kick the tires on.
But because the interesting thing there, now we are fully into fantasy land, that I'll tell you what I actually think probably happens with Deshaun Watson in a second. But a team like the reason that the Bengals and maybe Cardinals and Chargers are very interesting to me with the young quarterbacks that have looked pretty good.
It's that rookie deal.
That's one of the only reasons one of the only deals that the Texans would make sense to make the move on. I mean, if the Texans traded Deshaun Watson for Matt Ryan and some picks, that would be crushing to that entire organization. If they traded Deshaun Watson for Teddy Bridgewater and picks, those would be really hard to swallow. Miami has all the picks in the world and a quarterback that maybe they can sell the Texans on with Tua.
I mean, they
should try.
They could give the Texans their draft picks back. They can just be like, hey, all those draft picks you gave us? Here, have them back.
Yeah, we're gonna take the good parts from your team from a year ago, minus DeAndre Hopkins. You can have your picks back.
God,
we're going to win more games with your old quarterback.
They basically would have just traded Laramie Tunsil and Kenny Stills for Deshaun Watson.
Yes.
That's a wild trade to think about.
It sure is. I just... The thing that I'm going to be interested to see over the next couple of weeks is how seriously does this appear to be broken? And everybody was writing the story at about the same time, so good to know that this is something that has gotten put out there from the Deshaun Watson camp, almost certainly. With that being said, I'm guessing that all of the gripes here that are coming out are going to end up in Texans ownership if they're paying any attention at all, with them essentially groveling back to Deshaun Watson and letting him pick a high school coach to come be the head coach if he wants. I imagine that the end game here is going to be that this ends up spurring on a little bit of a reclamation project for that degrading relationship between him and ownership and everything. But I mean, again, I don't want to be hyperbolic. 25 teams should be coming up with their best offer, and that will obviously change from any number of teams. If you're the Steelers, you're going to have to pick a couple of genuine players and picks for years to come. If you're the Chargers or the Dolphins, you can do it around a young quarterback. Maybe if you're the Cowboys, you can just basically look at a quarterback swap and then sweeten the pot, which they should do. The Broncos can say, here's Drew Lock, and he can be your stopgap while you try to find a better quarterback to replace him. And then also here are our next 3 first-round picks. Every single team, minus 4 or 5, should be legitimately trying to do all of that math. And those offers should be gargantuan because these guys, I mean, think about, I mentioned the Cowboys. Think about how many hundreds of hours of off-season television got taken up by talk about what Dak Prescott's contract would be with Dallas. Just think about that for a second. That was with a quarterback who is good, but is a step below in the tier system than Deshaun Watson, where Dak is right in that space of better than most, but isn't going to be able to drag a team to a Super Bowl, but is better than the game manager. He's not peak Alex Smith, but he's also not Patrick Mahomes or Deshaun Watson. those guys just don't hit the open market very often. Kirk Cousins has been redoing his contract every 2 years forever now because he hit it huge whenever he made it all the way to a fully unrestricted free agency. Tom Brady got more hype because he was Tom Brady, but you see guys like that move around. We're going to talk about Carson Wentz and Jalen Hurts so much this upcoming offseason. We're going to talk about Tua and who they're going to draft. In as much as I think that Trevor Lawrence will probably legitimately be very good in the long run, we don't know that. Deshaun Watson has the ceiling of Trevor Lawrence and a floor that we've already seen, and it's incredible. And any team that doesn't see that as an opportunity worth pursuing should be absolutely someone should go slap each of those teams individually, and I will do that. I will accept a reasonable financial fee and a private jet to get me to each of those destinations, and I will go explain to every piece of ownership around the NFL why they should be trying to make a move for Deshaun Watson. Also, I told you I would tell you what I think probably happens here. I think they probably get it figured out, and he's a Texan next year. I think that should be the odds-on favorite. Whatever it would take to get him to San Francisco is going to be a lot, and teams are more connected to their assets than to incredible players sometimes. And I don't think the Texans would get all the way through it so quickly in one offseason, and really in like a month. But I'm keeping an eye there. I'm at least very interested in it. Anyway. It's totally mind-boggling. It's such an interesting situation, and it gave us something to talk about, and it hopefully helped us appreciate what the Chiefs have going on here in Kansas City, where Patrick Mahomes seems quite happy here and will be here for approximately 1 billion more years. Let's take a break. We'll come back, and there's another Chiefs topic I've been meaning to get to for a couple of days. We'll talk to Breland Moore of KCTV5 at 8, Jordan Foote of Arrowhead Report at 9. That's the plan for the rest of the show here tonight on Sports Radio 810.
Want more Almost Entirely Sports? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 Facebook page.
Small business owners don't have the patience for nonsense, especially when it comes to their internet provider. They want the best services for the best price. Simply put, that's Spectrum Business. They give you great value, zero nonsense. Just call 833-919-2121. You'll get fast, reliable internet and phone with no contracts and no hidden fees, all for a price that could cut your bill in half. Spectrum Business. Call today, 833-919-2121.
Buying or selling your home is a big decision, maybe the largest transaction of your life. So make sure you have a real estate expert on your side. Shannon Brimacombe and Stacy Cohen with Reese Nichols. Brimacombe and Cohen rank among the top 1% of all agents in the city, with over 100 million in transactions in the past 2 years. Dedication and decades in the business. Contact Stacy Cohen at 816-729-7214 and find out why Brimacombe and Cohen are moving people and moving houses.
Carmen's startup found an angel investor, but now they're asking for a miracle from her development team.
Hello, this is Carmen. That's exciting news. I guess we could launch early.
It's time to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. The moment you sponsor a job on Indeed, you get a short list of quality candidates from our resume database. Indeed delivers 2.5 times more hires than the other branded job sites combined, according to Breezy HR 2019. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get a $75 credit for your first job post. Terms and conditions apply.
Drive for the win and score huge savings at your Kansas City Acura dealers. As the Chiefs make their playoff push, we're pushing out deals on award-winning Acura SUVs and sedans. For a limited time, score jaw-dropping lease deals and low APR offers on the all-new 2021 TLX sedan and the 2021 RDX crossover SUV. The MVP has arrived. Pre-order the all-new redesigned 3-row 2022 MDX SUV and experience the future of luxury performance. Visit your Kansas City Acura dealers today.
It's Mr. Truck KC, Tim Grunny Grunhard. Everybody knows I love trucks. Right now I'm helping my friends at Roberts Robinson by personally delivering a vehicle every month to one lucky customer. Buy from Roberts Robinson and you can get me, Grunny, to deliver a vehicle to your house with a surprise gift. There's a reason why customers say, just make it easy. Check out the Shop Click Drive to shop online. It's easy. 1. Select that vehicle. 2. Create your deal. 3. Schedule your delivery. Boom, it's there. The Certified Service Department is open for appointments and offering first responder discounts for firefighters, police, EMTs, 911 dispatchers, and healthcare professionals. Roberts Robinson wants to buy your used car. If you're looking to trade in that used car, let us give you top dollar trade-in value. So Mr. Truck says, come see why they make it easy. Call 816-630-3151 or go online at robertsrobinson.com. Chevrolet, find new roads.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
I would like to just hey, I'm the common sense director, okay? Make me director of common sense. Put that on my business card. And I could stop the Texans from doing so much stupid garbage!
On Sports Radio 810, WHB.
Sometimes the liners make me feel absolutely just like a genius. Just prescient in everything. Beards, what's the name of this royalty-free music bed?
I'm glad you asked. It's called Bloody Nose. I was hoping you wouldn't forget.
Did you play this one last night?
No, I don't think so.
No, so you were asking about the names, and this was the only name that I remembered, so I mentioned it.
That's right. And this one goes hard. The thing about this one, though, is this is one of those ones where in the original version that has the vocals, it really kind of takes you out of the idea that it might be a real song. I'd like to read a tweet here that was sent to our friend Alan Poupar of, he covers the Dolphins for Sports Illustrated. It's all Dolphins on SI. We had him on the show before the Chiefs-Dolphins game. And he's tweeting about Deshaun Watson right now, as every single person in the NFL who doesn't have Patrick Mahomes should be. And somebody was tweeting, and I believe a bit of a kind of, mocking sort of way, saying, you're the GM. You pulled the trigger on that. Tua, number 3, and number 35 for Watson? And Allen said, correctly, in a heartbeat. I can't.
Duh.
Right? What are we doing? Like, I know if you're a Dolphins fan, you've already gotten attached to Tua in a way that may be unreasonable, and he was, the 5th pick last year?
Yeah.
So it's kind of the 3, 5, and 35.
It's the whole it's the whole thing, the whole year. You're a bad team. You're doing tank for Tua, tank for Tua, tank for Tua.
That's true.
And then you've got him. And now you're excited. And then you ship him away, and you're like, well, that was all useless and pointless.
So here would be my only argument.
But it's not useless if it ends in Deshaun Watson in some way.
Yeah, my only argument for why you don't give up 3 is that you probably don't have to. I mean, it's Houston. They're not making a lot of smart decisions. Lowball them. See if they take it.
Well, they have a different Patriots executive running their team now.
Yeah. So hey, they got the Dolphins. I almost said they have 3 this year. They have 2 first-round picks this year because last year was the year they had Pittsburgh's. But yeah, you don't offer your first-round pick or Houston's first-round pick back to them. You offer yours, and they'll probably jump at it. And then you keep number 3 and you draft like Jamar Chase, and now, oh my God.
Right, yes, correct. But I would also happily give up 3. I'm thinking right now.
Yeah, I would happily give up 3 as well. I just mean Houston not making a lot of smart decisions.
That's totally fair. Of all those teams we mentioned earlier, I think maybe with the exception of the Chiefs, Bills, and I would say I might include the Seahawks, Packers, and Ravens because we're looking at Super Bowl windows or whatever.
Yeah, and I think that's fair.
But all of those are the only teams, though, I think, that I wouldn't, and maybe the Chargers, and probably not the Bengals or Cardinals. I think those are the only teams that I would not give up your starting quarterback and your 2 highest possible picks this year for, and next year's for. It's unbelievable to me that that's even a conversation. You're right, Beards. I think that's a very good call of that's what's happening there. Is he's essentially Tua's been their quarterback for 2 years, even though he's only been there for 1.
Yeah, he was the hope. And honestly, even before the year started, there was a little bit of that. Right? So, you could even say it's been maybe 2.5 years. It's been oh, just wait, because, Tua's coming. That time's coming.
But if you turn that into Deshaun Watson, I feel like you still won that.
Such a huge upgrade.
Beards told me, Rudy, that you have a mind-blowing NFL stat.
Yeah, so I have a quick, fun NFL stat before the mind-blowing one. Josh Allen.
Ooh, double stats?
Yeah, because I was just looking at passing leaders because I was just also curious about quarterbacks, and also because I wanted to see where Ryan Tannehill is, and he's in top 5 of a lot of stats.
I was going to say, I think he's 4th in passing yards, maybe rating. Yeah, crazy.
But I was just also I started looking at completion percentage, and Josh Allen is 4th in the NFL at 69%, so very nice.
Nice.
Which feels right for him. But
my mind is blown.
Yeah, but the thing here's what blows my mind. And I was just looking at the percentages, and I was just curious what past years were like, because there are some high numbers here. Patrick Mahomes finished 16th in completion percentage this year at 66%. In 2010, he would have been tied for second with Peyton Manning at 66.3%. Wow. And in 2000, he would have also been in second place just behind Kurt Warner, who led it at 67.7%. There was, in 2000, one quarterback was over 65%. In 2010, it was 6 quarterbacks over 65%. And now in 2020, it's 23.
That, I think, ends up being such a good little watermark for for how the NFL has evolved in the last 10, 20 years.
Matt Ryan is 23rd this year to 65 completion percentage, and he would have finished top 7 in 2010 and third third in 2000. It's wild.
Someone just tweeted. So Ted Nguyen of The Athletic tweeted the Dolphins should trade their 2020 first-round picks and Tua for Watson. And someone responded, wow, you have no clue what you're talking about. Tua will be a more productive quarterback than Watson. He's a more accurate passer. And once we draft a wide receiver 1 this draft, move Parker to the Y, paired with Gesicki and Aaron Jones or Chris Carson, Watson is a cap killer. No need for us. Ted quote tweeted that with, it seems Dolphins fans have no idea who Deshaun Watson is.
So Deshaun Watson finished third this year, 70.2% completion percentage. Tua, 29, 64.1. What
were we going to say, Beards?
I was going to say, just make that tweeter the new GM. I mean, he clearly knows what he's doing. Yeah.
He's qualified
he's
to be
in charge
GM.
now.
All those stats you mentioned there, Rudy, I think Kansas City is going to be a perfect case study on this because we saw, very, very crummy quarterbacks. And then there was Alex Smith that was kind of that middle of the road.
Totally fine.
A quarterback who protects the ball, and his best season came whenever he was protecting the ball and going deep and being able to be more aggressive. There was a nice little, I say nice, sort of tongue-in-cheek. There was about a 5-year window, I think, where the game managers were largely believed to have enough to win Super Bowls, and those Super Bowls still largely got won by the elite quarterbacks. But to see how it's evolved, that now you can't even just protect the ball. You have to protect the ball while also throwing for 35 touchdowns. It's just such a fascinating evolution. You have to be going downfield and being perfectly accurate.
I mean, it's Mahomes had the lowest interception rate in the NFL this year at 1%.
Crazy.
So, he's a guy who obviously is viewed as a risk taker, and right, part of that's because he throws the football down the field.
Right.
But he doesn't turn the ball over.
But then even the evolution of Josh Allen, he was gunslinger who then got more accurate.
For sure.
Ryan Tannehill was, I think, was largely accurate and became a little more of a gunslinger. You have to eventually combine all those things.
Yeah.
And Deshaun Watson's one of those guys. And I do imagine that they will I imagine that they will get that figured out. Matt Verderam, who'll be on the show tomorrow night, tweeted, I'd be stunned if Watson got traded, but here's a proposal for fantasy and fun. The Patriots get Deshaun Watson. For me, this has already lost the fun.
There's nothing fun about this.
New England gets Deshaun Watson. Houston gets 3 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and Stephon Gilmore. Who says no?
That Miami fan?
We'll talk to Verderam about that tomorrow. Let's take a break.
At JB Brisco, at Beards McFly, at Not That Rudy, at Sports Radio 810. Just do it already.
Family Leisure's After Christmas clearance sale is here. Family Leisure has the best prices of the year on closeout, scratch and dent, and overstock products, and bonus deals for you if you mention 810. Pool tables, foosball, air hockey, bars and bar stools reduced by up to 70%. Hot tubs, tanning beds, and home theater seating at their best prices. Family Leisure has the best products, best selection, and best prices guaranteed. Take advantage of the special 810 deals while they last. Family Leisure, K10 and Ridgeview in Olathe.
Awesome! Since 1929, Shane Company's been part of over 1 million perfect proposals. An engagement ring is a symbol of your natural love. A love that's pure, unique, and rare. Choose a center stone that will reflect that. At Shane Company, all of our diamonds, rubies, and sapphires are natural, rare stones sourced directly from suppliers worldwide who share our dedication to the highest ethical standards. Because we have the largest selection of natural stones in every price range, and each stone has its own unique characteristics, it'll be easy to find a center stone that's perfect for the two of you. Visit our store or go online to create a one-of-a-kind ring that's as genuine as your love story. Now you have a friend in the jewelry business, Shane Company and ShaneCo.com.
This is Kevin Harlan from Westwood One. Join us for the NFL Super Wild Card Sunday tripleheader. First up, Derrick Henry and the Titans host Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. Then the Bears visit Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints. Finally, it's a rivalry in primetime when the Browns are in Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. If it's the NFL playoffs, it's right here.
Presented by CBD American Shaman, Complete Home Concepts, and Victory Ford.
At Central Bank of the Midwest, we are focused on building strong communities across Kansas City. I'm Bill Ferguson, President and CEO. Our strong roots began more than 100 years ago in the heart of the Midwest and continue today across 5 states and 67 communities. Central Bank of the Midwest brings you the best of both worlds, a strong community bank with the resources and technology to deliver a legendary banking experience. Central Bank of the Midwest, strong roots, endless possibilities. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
When do you think about your insurance? Chances are it's when you're paying your bill or filing a claim. At Briar Payne Mead, we always think about your insurance. It's what we do. Buying a car, having a baby, building a home, starting a business. Then it's time to call BPM at 913-681-099 or visit us on the web at bpminsurance.com. Great service and extremely competitive rates from the top-rated companies. Briar Payne Mead, 913-681-099. That's 913-681-099.
You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports
Every NFL GM and every NFL head coach, except for like 3 of them, are Bill O'Brien.
with Joshua Brisco
Why is everyone in the NFL Bill O'Brien?
on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
We really have a lot of Texans and Bill O'Brien-based liners. What's this royalty-free music bed called, Beards? I'm really digging it right now.
This is called A Brighter Day.
Sure is. Not for Houston, it's not.
Nope.
Here's a tweet that I did not see because it came out mid-show. Actually, it came out before the show started by a little bit. I don't know. I just saw it from Albert Breer. This is predictable and also unbelievable. Watson advocated for Chiefs offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy. Pat Mahomes put in a strong word for EB with Watson, and the Texans didn't even put in for an interview with Bieniemy. I mean, we talked about this last night, and Harold Kuntz of Fox 4 was like, he had it right.
Mm-hmm.
It's ownership. It's an ownership issue the whole way up. But it made all the sense in the world because, Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes, I don't know that they are, like, close friends, but they've been in communication often enough for this to make sense. And Deshaun Watson should want a head coach who has had success with the most similar quarterback to him in the league right now. They are not one-to-one comparable, but Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson are each other's closest comparisons, I think. Especially if you're counting for, like, draft class and both being a little younger than Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers. And maybe Josh Allen deserves to be somewhere in that grouping now as well. But it's really 1 year of Josh Allen having it at this level. So, TBD.
I would say those, if it's not Deshaun Watson, it's Josh Allen. But that's it. Like, those are the two. But, again, Josh Allen, 1 year. Yeah, absolutely right.
And, again, I think that to some extent, the relationship with Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson and the absolute proof positive results that have come from Eric Bieniemy with that offense. Maybe you could argue the same thing for Brian Dabel. I don't know. I still can't fully talk myself into that hire ultimately making sense. Maybe it will. I don't know. But
you know what I will tell you? The Texans should interview Brian Dabel. I think they may have already, actually. I'm not sure. Maybe I don't know if they could yet because the Bills are playing this weekend. But they should have the request in, and I'm guessing they do. To not interview Eric Bieniemy in this week where he was able to do these interviews because the Chiefs were on a bye, to not even request the interview is totally mind-boggling. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't know how you screw that up so egregiously. Especially whenever that's the guy that your quarterback is advocating for. I mean, humor Bieniemy, humor Watson. And then maybe you accidentally find out that now you've interviewed the best head coaching candidate of this cycle.
It's kind of like the Bears not interviewing Mahomes or Watson. Just deciding that Trubisky's the guy.
Yeah, it really is. And it doesn't
and then trading up for him. Ha, ha, ha.
Maybe the Texans have decided that they have their guy already, and it's just some other former Patriots assistant. I don't know. Maybe they're going to trade for Joe Judge. But it's just the sort of like low effort, just like obvious, just do the obvious thing here and interview an obviously worthy head coaching candidate that your quarterback really would like for you to talk to.
Watson for Joe Judge and Daniel Jones. Who says no?
Ooh. The Giants probably, because Dave Gettleman is their general manager.
That's true.
But holy smokes, can you imagine getting that Schefter tweet notification? My goodness. Breland Moore of KCTV5 is next.
You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 WHB. No one gives you more Chiefs, news, information, and interviews than your hometown radio station. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Caught in the back of the end zone. Touchdown, Kelsey.
Yeah, you know it. Let's go.
We'll rest up some guys.
That's what you work your tail off for all season.
I just trust in the coaches. I'm ready to go.
Your exclusive home for the NFL playoffs and Super Bowl 55. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Hi, I'm Aaron, owner of Window Nation. When I was 10, my father told my brother and I that when you buy on price, you buy twice. Now, I wasn't sure. Hold on, my brother Harley's calling. What's up, Harley?
Dad never said that.
Yes, he did.
Did not. You bought that junky car, and Dad said if you buy something because it's cheap, you'll have to replace it sooner.
That's what when you buy on price, you buy twice means.
Dad didn't make some kind of poem out of it.
Look, I gotta go.
And you weren't 10 years old. You were like 31.
The point is, Window Nation doesn't cut corners. We make quality windows because we only install windows that last. So you only have to buy them once. That's Harley calling to say he totally agrees with me.
Right now at Window Nation, buy 2 windows, get 2 free with 0% interest for 24 months. Buy 4 windows, get 4 free. Buy 6 windows, get 6 free. All with 0% interest for 24 months. You won't find a better deal anywhere else. Call now or visit windownation.com. That's windownation.com for your free estimate.
Rock your home with new tops from Kansas City's best countertop fabricator, Rock Tops. They custom fabricate and install stone surfaces that will make you fall in love with your home. Making homes look incredible is Rock Tops' thing. Being nice just comes naturally. Rock Tops offers carry-out samples and virtual or in-home appointments. Call 913-782-0802 or go to rocktopskc.com. Mention 810 Rocks to receive 10% off right now.
A KC tradition since 1957, Hereford House is a locally owned steakhouse that has served generations of Kansas Cityans. Hereford House exclusively serves certified Hereford beef, which has been proven to be naturally more tender and flavorful than other brands. All their steaks are aged 21 days, hand-cut daily, and grilled over an open charcoal flame. This process provides a wonderful aroma and delicious flavor that cannot be duplicated by any other cooking method. Hereford House, Leawood, Independence, Shawnee, and Zona Rosa.
This is Brent Thiessen of the Kansas City Mavericks. As we start our 12th season in Kansas City, we want to thank you, our loyal fans. We are doing everything we can to bring you a safe environment to watch your Mavericks play. You can also follow our games live on Flow Sports. Go Mavericks.
Hello, it's Mark Whitlow from Office Products Alliance. I want to thank 810 and all the listeners for their support this year. I am certain 2021 is going to be the beginning of our generation's roaring 20s. Happy holidays, Kansas City. Keep it positive.
Kansas City's favorite sports station, 20 years and counting. Sports Radio 810 WHB, Kansas City.
I'm John Ryder. A blockbuster baseball trade. The Mets have acquired four-time All-Star shortstop Francisco Lindor and righty Carlos Carrasco from the Indians for shortstops Ahmed Rosario and Andres Jimenez, and two prospects. Cleveland cutting payroll. The move will save the team more than $31 million. ESPN's Adam Schefter reports that Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson is bothered by the team's hiring process, and the team didn't consider his opinion on hiring a new general manager after Houston hired former Patriots director of player personnel Nick Caserio to be their new GM. Watson's feelings are not indicative of Caserio himself. Browns quarterback Baker Mayfield says if his team isn't able to practice before Sunday night's wildcard playoff game against the Steelers, it won't have an impact. Browns facility remains closed because of COVID. Head coach Kevin Stefanski won't be available for the Browns' first playoff game in 18 years after he tested positive for COVID-19. ESPN's Damian Woody on having a different voice call the plays.
You would think that's the side of the ball that, that the Cleveland Browns should feel pretty good about. Because that's where the best personnel is. And now you don't have your head coach who's a play caller that's not going to be available to your offense, particularly your young quarterback in his first playoff game. It's going to be huge.
Damon Woody on Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin. Browns offensive coordinator Alex Van Pelt will be the offensive play caller in Kevin Stefanski's absence. College basketball. Top-ranked Gonzaga's raced out to a 30-10 lead on BYU in the first half.
Coming up on Friday, we continue to react to one of the most historic days in our country's history with Atlanta Dream guard Renee Montgomery at 9:30 a.m. Eastern on Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin on ESPN Radio.
You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports.
That can't be what Bill O'Brien wanted, because he could not. If he believed that Tom Savage would keep Deshaun Watson on the bench for a full NFL season, he is a nincompoop.
With Joshua Brisco.
Good choice of word. Thank you. It felt the most accurate. He's a nincompoop. If he thought that was going to happen, he's a nincompoop.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Couple of housekeeping items if you are just tuning in for this, your first hour of AES of the week. I'm on the COVID reserve list as a close contact, so I am broadcasting from the home studio, but I feel like I should have a sponsor of some sort. Sponsored by @JB Brisco on Twitter. No E, Rudy. And then also, we're on this royalty-free music game. Go ahead and let it play a little bit, Piers. What's it called?
This is Amethyst.
Amethyst. Very good. Very exciting. I don't know how much longer the bit will last, because I don't know how many more royalty-free music beds we have, but I'll tell you this, we're not getting DMCA'd. Twitch is not going to bring this show down.
We've still probably got about 15 more.
Oh, really? That's very exciting. The reason we have that is, in part, yes, because we're streaming in every single place you could possibly want the show, even though today there is a cutout of my face on a snowman in the studio instead of me being in the studio. You can watch the show on the Sports Radio 810 YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch channels. All those links are up on the 810 Twitter, because we're just everywhere, baby. You can find the links and just Google anything, and eventually you'll accidentally run into this show. Mercifully, though, that will not be the entire topic of this segment, because we are not alone. Breland Moore of KCTV5 joins us now for the segment that I think is officially called God Save the Queen and Patrick Mahomes, because those are Breland's two, I think at this point, like, most noteworthy things about sort of your entire brand is covering sports and knowing things about medieval history. Have you learned anything else in the last couple of weeks, Breland?
No, not recently, no, but I have a stack full of books that I got for Christmas, so shout out everybody who bought me, like, insanely cool, like, Scottish history books and things like that, so I appreciate all my friends and relatives who know me so very well, and I have to get through those, but I was getting through the recent prequel to the Hunger Games, so I wanted to speed through that first before we got into the nitty-gritty of more history. So no, I have no tidbits for you at this very moment. I am so sorry, Brisco.
That's okay. Can I get a quick review of the Hunger Games prequel that I just learned existed? When did that come out?
Yeah. So it came out a little bit ago. I think it was like last summer or whatever, but I just kind of recently got my hands on it. Had a little bit other reading to do, so I didn't dive in there because I was doing some stuff for work. So, that came first before reading for fun. But yeah, so this takes place about 65 years before Katniss and Peeta and all of the Hunger Games characters that we know and love exist. And the protagonist is President Snow as a boy. So we get a little bit of a villain origin story there. It's very good. Would recommend. And I flew through it in like maybe 3-4 days, so it's a good read. But definitely threw me off. I knew nothing about it, and then I opened it up and I realized it was President Snow as the protagonist. I'm like, I don't know if I'm into this. I was into it by the end of it, so go check it out.
That's kind of interesting. This is embarrassing because I'm now thinking about how long ago these books came out. But the last, especially like nonfiction book that I remember just sort of blasting through just for fun, might have been the entirety of the Hunger Games trilogy. At least it was the last one, Mockingjay, whatever the last one was.
Yeah.
I basically read that like in one sitting because I was very invested at that point. But then I haven't thought about Hunger Games in any way whatsoever in like the last 5 years. I didn't even. It's called The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which is a pretty kick-ass title for a book. I'm in on that alone at this point.
Yeah, I would highly recommend. And the only reason why I saw it is just because I follow a few really like diverging paths here, but I follow Alexander Ludwig, who played Cato in the original Hunger Games movie. I followed him on Instagram. He now plays Bjorn Ironside in Vikings, which is also one of my favorite TV shows. And there was some chatter about that on his page. I don't know if it was he posted it or a fan posted it, but somebody posted it on Instagram. And that's the reason why I found out that there was a prequel involved. But highly recommend. Go finish it. I had a hard time putting it down. 10 out of 10. So very, very
10 out of 10.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, the Hunger Games are like one of my favorite things ever. So that whole trilogy was phenomenal. I would give that a 13 out of 10. This one still just as good. Very much Suzanne Collins is brilliant, just coming through again. So would highly, highly recommend, guys, for sure.
This is definitely going to turn into a movie at some point, right? This movie's absolutely has to be happening. I can't imagine it's not.
Lionsgate has already gotten the rights. They're the same people that made the same studio that made the original 4, I guess, movies, because the third book was split up. But so they already have the rights and everything. So it should be, who knows with COVID, but it should be a thing at some point, and I'm going to be first in line to see it.
We didn't learn something about history, but we learned that there's a Hunger Games prequel. Like, you're at the very least, you're batting 1,000 on teaching us something totally non-related to sports, which I think is perfect. I also think that's coming out of the KCTV5 sports studio also, though. Like, I just think that's got to be one of the more interesting sort of break rooms in the city. Just because Danny's whole brand has been bug facts, and you're gonna have 3 or 4 different veins at some point, I can see.
Oh yeah, whenever anybody needs some sort of mascot, something, life of a mascot, any sort of random fact about a European monarchy, I'm your girl. And then also apparently now I'm your Hunger Games girl as well. Like I wear many hats around the city. Many hats.
Yeah. It's the only way to do it. Well, let's. Okay, I'm going to put on a sports hat now because I feel some sort of obligation to. I haven't fully killed that part of myself yet. It's still hanging on because we spent literally an hour today just sort of all screaming about what's going on with the Texans right now, and I find myself being baffled even after spending basically the last year being baffled by the Texans in totally different ways that started from Bill O'Brien. Now we find out that relationship with Deshaun Watson is seeming quite fractured for reasons that make sense to me. Ownership is not communicating with their most important piece. He found out about the GM getting hired on social media. He wanted them to interview Eric Bieniemy. They did not even request an interview with Eric Bieniemy. What have you thought as we've seen that story unfold in some ways over the last couple of years, and more especially over the last couple of hours?
Yeah, I kind of knew something was brewing there even before we saw, what has been uncovered over the past couple of hours, because, as you said, that was the main glaring thing right there. The fact that they didn't interview Eric Bieniemy after their quarterback very publicly didn't even request to interview him after their quarterback very publicly stated that he would love to have this person with him. And if you're not even willing to listen to your franchise player, the star of your team, and even bother to request an interview, first of all, that's a little shady to begin with, because I feel as though every single team with a vacancy should be calling Eric Bieniemy up immediately. The fact that they didn't even bother is very, very, let's just say it's odd to me. There's several different ways that you could probably describe that, but it's just very, very odd to me. But on top of it, the fact that your quarterback, the person who's arguably going to have to work with this head coach, one of the closest people to this head coach, is saying, please call this guy. I want to work with him. He's great. I've heard great things about him. And they don't even bother. I mean, man, the writing was on the wall. And then when you saw what came out today, it was just even more laughable. And I felt like it was just a pile-on of what we kind of already assumed was brewing in the background, because of just, there were certain things that have just come out over time that it's like, man, there's some sort of disconnect there. And that's not going to last very long if they continue to do that, because you cannot have that level of disconnect within your organization. That's not a recipe for success.
Maybe the silver lining from Eric Bieniemy's perspective is not having a chance to be tempted to overlook all those flaws because Deshaun Watson is right there. Because all the other jobs, I mean, listen, they all have drawbacks because they're all vacant for some reason. But they also, I think, really all of these available jobs do have, at the very least, silver linings, if not being predominantly positive. With obviously, again, the Texans would have been having Deshaun Watson. The drawback would have been everything else. But of those other jobs that he has interviewed for so far, which is all of them except for Houston, do any of those stand out to you as like, this is clearly the one that makes the most sense, or maybe this is one that he should steer clear from outside of the Texans?
I think Atlanta would be a really great fit for EB, especially because he can go in there and still have some weapons available to him. Yeah, you know what? Honestly, at this point, even if the Texans do call him, I'm not sure if I'm in EB's shoes that I would entertain that even at this point. You know what I mean? Because now they would just be doing it to save face. And I have said it multiple times, in my opinion, he should have been hired last year. The fact that he is not an NFL coach, to me, blows my mind. And, there's been several coaches that have come out, other coaches within the league and within this, the National Football League have flat out said, if he is not hired after this season, we have a glaring issue. And, the fact that the Texans didn't even bother to just throw him a bone there, I don't know if I would want to work for an organization like that anyway. So even if they do call, I would absolutely stay clear of that if I was EB. But I don't know. I like Atlanta. I feel like Atlanta might be a good fit. But no matter where he goes, I think, and this is what Andy Reid has said time and time again, that no matter where he goes, he's going to excel because he's just such a great leader of men. And you don't really hear, at least I have never heard Andy speak so highly, consistently so highly of, one man who still has not been hired by a place. He even said, at the risk of repeating myself for the millionth time, I'm going to tell you again, Eric Bieniemy is ready for this, transition. So I hope that we find him, wherever he goes, it's going to be the best spot for him because, that's how the universe works, right? We sow good seeds and then reap the benefits. So I'm sure EB will land right where he's supposed to. But I don't know. Something about Atlanta, I think he might excel there. What about you? What do you think?
I like Atlanta a lot because I think that he going to that Falcons offense specifically. There's already a baseline set there, right? Like you have a fully competent quarterback. Matt Ryan's not going to be there for the next 10 years, but he might be there for the next 2 years and can run an offense competently. You've got weapons there already, specifically Calvin Ridley, and again, Julio Jones isn't going to be around for a lot longer, but he'll be around for a while still. And then no one's going to really be that heated about the defense not getting fully reformed in the next 27 minutes because that's part of the thing that you're undertaking there. And they already have Grady Jarrett in the middle. Like, it just there are a lot of little bright spots there where I feel like he could basically take over a very similar team as to where the Chiefs were in, like, maybe not even 2013 because everyone got there at the same time, but like the 2015 Chiefs, where the quarterback's there, and you're looking for your guy, you got the talent. I think that would make a lot of sense. But again, I think most of them would be he would be able to make some amount of success, and I think all of them, because again, all of them have their own little perks.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think you also have to kind of look at the city as a whole. I think Atlanta would be a great spot for him, because let's face it, guys, being a black head coach in the National Football League is not an easy task, right? Yeah. And we know, and we have heard stories about other football coaches in the league having a difficult time in their respective cities that they work in. And it's unfortunate, but that's the nature of it. And they have to be so careful with, how they word things and things like that, because the criticism is so high in certain areas. Atlanta, I think it's, it's a bigger metropolitan area, high black population. I think EB would be embraced culturally the best there as well. But like I said, again, anything that, wherever he goes, I think he's going to excel. And I'm pretty sure Andy Reid, has echoed that time and time again, like I had said before.
Yeah, I think he is genuinely tired of saying it at this point. Not like that he's not mad about it, but he's bored of saying it. Yeah.
Because it's ridiculous that he wasn't already hired,
Yeah.
But I love EB's attitude about the whole thing too, and he just because you come to work and you bring your lunch pail and you do the best that you can. Keep chopping wood is what he says, which is very reminiscent of Sean McDermott for the Buffalo Bills would always say, keep stacking days. Because and it was two different scenarios, but I always kind of liked that mentality of just one foot in front of the other. Do the best that you possibly can today, and you get better for the next day, and you get better for the next day, and the day after that, and you just keep showing up for work and doing what you can where you are. You do the best job that you can where you are right now, and God willing, hopefully something else breaks, but you got to be the best that you can possibly be where you are in your surroundings, in your day-to-day. And I love that. And I just love EB's attitude about the whole thing. But at the same point, I am tired for him that he is not getting the opportunities that he very much deserves. So I really hope that we see some sort of movement on him. Not that I want to lose him. I feel like no one in Kansas City wants him to go. But at the same point, he needs to go because that's what he deserves. So fingers and toes crossed for him because I think he absolutely deserves that.
Are we still making lunch pails?
Are we? I mean, I don't really know. I've never had a lunch pail. I had like I brought like Lunchables. Can I put that in a pail?
Holy cow. Can you imagine if Eric Bieniemy said, listen, I just show up to work every day, I bring my Lunchables, and we're stacking days? I would lose my mind if really any adult in a position of significant power just sort of admitted to eating Lunchables. First of all, I would feel a much like closer relation to them, but also just so much respect.
Let me tell you, don't want to out him right now, but Lunchable King Swanee at the Royals loves Lunchables, and he told me one time.
No kidding.
Yes, and he told me he's like the players bring him on the plane and like toss them at me because they know I'm like the Lunchable King. I'm like, what kind are you crushing here, Swanee? And he told me he likes the cracker, like the ham and cheese or the turkey and cheese. I forget his actual brand, and I'm probably going to get Twitter like added for this because I'm getting it wrong. But I know he likes the either it's ham and cheese or the turkey and cheese Lunchables. And I had to admit that I was a pizza fan, so that's where we disagreed. But he definitely goes hard in the paint for Lunchables. So we are not alone. There are certified people that I consider like adults who also stand for Lunchables.
I think the cracker and cheese and whatever various deli meat one, I think that's the 1 seed in terms of Lunchables. Rudy, also, if you guys want to like just try to get a bracket together at some point here for the best forms of Lunchables, those I think have to be the number 1 seed. Pizza, I understand the appeal. I think if you eat the taco meat ones, if those even still exist, that one I'd have the most questions about, I think.
Yeah, no, I hate that one. I only ever liked the pizza kind, preferably extra cheesy, because sometimes the pepperoni tastes a little bit off. But that's what you get when you're getting an entire thing of prepackaged, like low-key fake food. And I love it. And I have recently discovered that they are trying to make Lunchables like organic. And I'm like, who asked you to do this? No, not a single person asked you to like make this healthier. We like it just the way that it is, with whatever you put in it. I don't know. I don't want to know ever. It's good, and I will continue to eat it at 28 years of age without any shame, because I know one man in the Royals front office who was crushing them things, who was much older than me, so I feel like I have a free pass now.
I am now going down a Google image search rabbit hole. I think the taco ones have been discontinued for a while. I'm now seeing one that I'm seeing a type called "mess with your mouth" tacos from Lunchables, which you can put. There is. I vaguely remember this. You can put a packet of sour tongue-teasing fizz, is what it is called on the box, onto your taco, and that's, I guess, that's what millennials grew up on. That's why we are the way that we are, I guess.
Yeah, that's exactly it, right there. And the treatses as well. The pizza crust with the chocolate on it and the M&Ms, disgusting.
Yeah, but that's...
I loved them as a child. Now I'm just the OG. That's it. Just the original extra cheesy pizza Lunchable for me. Thank you. My impressive palate as a 28-year-old woman.
Do you remember the chicken shake-ups? They were chicken nuggets that you would put into a bag with some seasoning or nacho cheese of some sort, shake it, and then that was a thing that we ate.
Oh. Man, I don't even want to know half the stuff that I ate, nor do I want to know half the stuff that's inside of it, because I know it's not good for me, and we're probably going to like end up sprouting extra limbs by the end of our like tenure here on Earth because of all the things that we ate as children. But you know what? It was good. I don't regret it. I'm here for a good time, not a long time. And all of those things that I ate as a child would not take back, including, okay, maybe the Play-Doh. I can take back the Play-Doh. Other than that, I'm set.
The eating of Play-Doh is what you're saying? I
mean, who didn't? Who among us, you know?
Rudy, did you eat Play-Doh as a child?
No. I can't say I ever did.
That's fine. Beards, you definitely did.
Yeah.
That would explain a lot.
Like once maybe that I remember. I think that's it, though.
Everybody tried it, you know? Just once.
Probably.
I guess maybe, but I don't.
I was gonna object to that, but then I had a really sharp like feeling of that it would have been or was very salty, so maybe I did. I don't know.
You bet you did. Yes, it sure was. So you also were a Play-Doh eater. It's okay. Just embrace it. It's just part of the millennial mentality here.
If it turns out that Swanee eats Play-Doh in the Royals press box, then I'll admit it. You have to
I don't think so. He maybe sampled. I don't know, but I don't think he just like sits on the Royals plane and just like munches on like a jar of Play-Doh. But he definitely crushes those Lunchables. He told me that personally. So
I am going to put out a poll. I'm going to ask you a very serious sports question. We're talking Breland Moore of KCTV5. You can follow around. I lost the tab because I shifted tabs around. At Breland KCTV5 on Twitter. There's only one E in Breland. Don't screw it up.
Yeah.
I'm going to tweet out a poll question. Did you ever eat Play-Doh? And how recently have you eaten? When was the last time you ate Lunchables? Those are both going to be poll questions on Twitter at JB Brisco momentarily. While I type those up, Breland, there are a bunch of playoff games coming up this weekend. I don't know if you've noticed. You can hear them all on Sports Radio 810, both days, in fact. But of the AFC matchups, which ones are you most excited for? What are you hoping the Chiefs end up seeing in their matchup a week and change from now? What are you excited for this weekend? Please just stall while I write up these Twitter polls.
Okay. Well, first things first, I think the thing I'm most excited about, just as a football fan, is that Colts-Bills game. I spent 3 years in Rochester, New York, so I covered the Buffalo Bills. I was right down the road. And I essentially watched that team rebuild. My first season there was the Rex Ryan era, which was insane. He ate a dog treat at training camp, and he prank called Julian Edelman. Like, I have Bill stories for days about 2016 because that season was wild. That being said, it wasn't productive. And so obviously, as we know, Rex was fired, which is also a story in itself because it happened the day after Christmas. That was no good for anybody. And then, Doug Whaley, the GM, was also fired. And then we had this McDermott Bean regime come through. So I watched their first seasons and their second seasons, and I just watching this team grow and learn about each other and go from this lovable loser to an actual contender. They're nobody's little brother anymore. They're not, taking anybody's crap. And just the transformation of that team is absolutely incredible. And I am so excited to see what they can do. They have not won a playoff game in 2 decades. So it's going to be super fun to see if they can finally get one under their belt here, because I think that they're ready to, start making a move here in postseason. So I'm really, really excited about that one. I'm also really excited to see just, the Washington football team going against the Bucs. I am just blown away by Alex Smith. I was not here when he was here, but just watching it from afar and getting a chance to hear all of your stories here in the Kansas City media about what a great guy this person was and what a nice human being. And it's just, even if you don't know he's a nice guy or have these stories around you, you just find yourself rooting for that man. And so I cannot wait to also see him, make an appearance in postseason as well. But really, I don't know, guys. I'm not really too terribly afraid of anybody in terms of who the Chiefs can face. I would prefer to avoid Buffalo. I think they're the more formidable opponent out of those top 2, 3. And then as of the other pick of the litter, I don't really want to go against the Titans. I think that they very much did bulletin board material after, and they very much remind me of the Chiefs after they lost to the Patriots in the AFC Championship. I kind of want to avoid them in postseason if possible, just because I know they are out for blood there. So let's avoid that. Other than that, I think the Chiefs got the Ravens number. I think they're pretty much set for the rest of the pool. Those are the only two that are a little bit concerning to me. What about you? Are you still conducting your poll here?
No, I'm good. That was perfect. It was a very good answer. So I can also now tell you that so far with 40 votes immediately, 61% of people said they never ate Play-Doh, which that's the thing.
Live a little here.
Kyle Richardson tweeted, anyone who voted no is a liar or had a terrible childhood. And then BG on Twitter said, I would have never remembered this, but blue popped in my mind immediately. And that's my favorite response because, it all came rushing back. You read that tweet, and it all came rushing back. Like at the end of Ratatouille, whenever the food critic takes a bite, and he is sucked back into his childhood, but instead of having a nice rustic Ratatouille, you're just eating fistfuls of blue Play-Doh. Oh, what a visual.
It's Play-Doh, yeah. Oh, goodness.
There's also a Lunchable baseball question up there if anyone would like to vote on that.
Yeah, I definitely feel as though people are lying here on this poll. But you know what? It's okay. It's okay. Just be honest with yourself. Let it out. Everybody tried Play-Doh at least once. We know this. Or maybe it's a suppressed memory, like you said. Who knows?
We're trying to wake it up for some people, though.
Yeah.
The Lunchable poll question has also responded a lot of responses because I've cracked it up into decades, saying when's the last time that you ate a Lunchable?
Oh,
and Sam Mellinger of the Kansas City Star Sam said, kids ate these for breakfast for honestly like 2 months straight, #COVID, #kitchen remodel. So the kids are still eating Lunchables.
Yeah, they know what's up.
So technically, it wasn't the Lunchable brand, but like I was at Quick Trip and they have essentially that same thing, right? But instead of the crackers, it's like a Triscuit and it's, cheese and salami. Had that this week.
Oh, see, I don't know how I feel. That seems too adult for me.
It does. That's the thing. I'm not sure. Does that count?
So that's what I mean. I don't know. Like, it was not it was not a Lunchable brand. I forget what brand it is.
I just feel like listen. If I've said this once, I've said it a million times. Rudy is too bougie for the rest of us. Like that's just sort of who Rudy is.
God, the amount of meals I've had as a Lunchable, like. And like I've got a niece and nephew that are 9 and 3. Like I don't remember the last time I had a Lunchable at my sister's house, but it was absolutely in the year 2020.
I think it has to come in that sort of like that exact plastic with the film lid on it. If it's an off-brand but it's even more sketchy, then that's fine. If it's just cheaper. But if it's more expensive than an original Lunchable, I don't know if it counts.
I mean, this is in a plastic container with that plastic peel-off wrapping.
No,
I'll have to see it.
It needs to be the original Lunchable brand. It needs to have one of them little Crunch bars or an Airhead in it with a Capri Sun that you never know. Man, it's got to be the OG or it doesn't count.
This didn't have a candy bar or Capri Sun. And I think the Capri Sun might be the real, like, it has to have a Capri Sun.
Yeah, they serve those. They sell the little like skinny Lunchables or whatever when it's just the Lunchable. Yeah. But nah, it needs to be Capri Sun in my opinion. But anyway,
it's not the same.
So I shared my playoff thing. What about you guys?
Nobody wants to hear what I think. I've talked about this for 15 hours already this week. We got the Lunchables and we got your opinion. Everybody's happy. This is the best that the show has been so far today.
Oh boy! The
Don't go back and listen to the first hour. Yeah. No, we can.
So Bills for sure. I'm going to be watching that game. Still have friends on that team because they were just like the greatest people. Just very kind, welcoming locker room. So I still kind of, obviously I want the Chiefs to win, but I root for them too because they're good people. We know this. Yeah. So watching the Bills game for sure. Titans are the only team that I'm really slightly afraid of about coming into Arrowhead because I know they have bulletin board material from last year. Don't want to see it. Don't like it. King Henry scares me. So let's just not. Let's not and say we did. Somebody else eliminate them. Thank you.
I'm good with that. I think that's appropriate. I also believe that the Play-Doh liars have now gotten up to 71%, and that's just absolutely unacceptable. It turns out that I'm gonna have to. Oh yeah, it's on nearly 71. I'm gonna have to block 71% of my Twitter followers, which is really upsetting.
Yeah, because you know that this is not real.
Yeah, I can't have people straight up lying to me online. Yeah, that's not healthy at all. Breland, thank you for.
You can't even tell who's voting, so it's anonymous. Just fire away. You know you did it.
That's true. Yeah, hey, we can't see. Just say that you had a Lunchable yesterday and that you ate Play-Doh every meal as a child. Just admit it.
Exactly.
You probably got some in there by accident or something. I don't know, man. Liars.
Oh goodness.
Bunch of liars. Thank you, Breland.
Yes, I will talk to you guys soon. Hopefully we stay on track next time. We won't.
No, this was the track that we all needed to be on. We got Hunger Games prequel reviews, we got some Play-Doh and Lunchables, and we accidentally talked about sports in the middle. All with Breland Moore of KCTV5. Follow her on Twitter at Breland KCTV5. And then check out. They're doing all sorts of coverage over the rest of the playoffs on Channel 5 and Locker Room Show and all that stuff. I know that because I may have made an appearance already, may have another one on the way here or there. It's hard to say for sure because TV confuses me, but they're good at it, and that's what's important. We need to take a break. I'm going to see if I can buy Lunchables on Amazon, and we'll talk about it in a couple of minutes.
Did you know you can listen to Almost Entirely Sports anywhere, anytime? Well, you can. Just search for Almost Entirely Sports wherever you get your podcasts.
Championship Barbecue is now available at your fingertips with the new Joe's Kansas City Barbecue online ordering app. Place your order for the legendary Z-Man or Rocket Pig sandwiches, slabs of ribs, or a burn-end dinner right now. It's just a few clicks from your smartphone, and your order will be hot and ready for curbside pickup. The new Joe's Kansas City Barbecue app is perfect for a weeknight dinner with the family or feeding your entire office. So don't wait. Download the brand new Joe's Kansas City Barbecue app today.
You got through 2020 together, so what are you waiting for? Propose with a stunning engagement ring from Shane Company. With our huge selection of ring settings and loose stones, countless combinations and possibilities, at Shane Company you can truly create a one-of-a-kind ring that will reflect her personal style. When you're finished, her ring will look like no other. Her friends will say, "It's so her." First, select a ring setting from hundreds of unique styles. Then pick a center stone. Choose a natural, diamond, ruby, or a sapphire in over a dozen colors. We have the largest selection of stone shapes and sizes. Finally, add your own touch, like a decorative crown or a special engraving. Visit our store or book an in-store or virtual appointment. Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and Shaneco.com.
Menards has the best and brightest ideas for lighting your home. We have thousands of lights to choose from, so you can find the perfect light for your home. Get a head start on your garden with an LED grow light. The color-changing LEDs keep plants cooler and hydrated longer. It's energy efficient and just $49.99 now during Menards Project Day sale. Prices are good until January 16th.
Save big money at Menards.
It's such a beautiful night. Look at the stars.
They're amazing. Did you know 20% of stars have planets orbiting them capable of sustaining life?
How did you know that? You must spend a ton of time reading.
Not at all. I use Blinkist.
Blinkist?
Yeah, it's an app that takes key insights from over 4,000 nonfiction bestsellers and gathers them into 15-minute blinks for you to read or listen to. With Blinkist, you can learn the main points of an entire book in just 15 minutes, as opposed to days or weeks.
What kind of books?
Nonfiction books in over 27 categories, from personal development to history, management, investing, philosophy, and more. Books like A Beautiful Mind, The 4-Hour Workweek, Freakonomics, and Sapiens. Blinkist makes it easy to learn about pretty much anything.
Like the stars?
Even the stars.
Right now, radio listeners get 25% off, plus 1 free week when you go to Blinkist.com/grow. To get this special offer, go to Blinkist.com/grow. That's BLINKIST.com/GROW.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
Pop it, twist it, pull it, shout it, flick it, spin it, shake it, shout it, pull it, spin it, pop it.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, what's the name of the song, Beards? Royalty-free music that we're using so we don't get DMCA striked on Twitch.
You're going to laugh at this one. It's Candy McCain.
That's a good name.
It sounds like off-brand Muse. It sounds like that one specific Muse song. Can't remember what it's called at the moment, but that's very good. Thanks again to Breland Moore of Channel 5, KCTV5, for joining us. Again, you can follow her on Twitter at Breland KCTV5. Only one E there in Breland. And check out all the coverage they have leading up throughout the playoff run, through the Super Bowl, all that on KCTV5 and also on the Locker Room Show. I got a tweet from Andrew Whiteside asking a very important question. Sunny D or Capri Sun?
I was a Sunny D kid.
Beards?
Yeah, I was also a Sunny D person. I liked Capri Sun, but Sunny D was better.
So I think that's where I'm at. Capri Sun is iconic. Like,
Yeah.
it is, and if it's in the fridge on a hot summer's day, you've been out there playing some football with the boys, and you're 12 years old, you're coming in for a little fake post-game press conference. What do you need right now? You need a Capri Sun.
You open up that fridge, you toss a Capri Sun to all the boys, and you crack one open.
Throw it to the boys, no question. The boys can also be girls in this situation. Everyone in that
Absolutely.
Once you're playing football in the yard, everybody's boys.
We're all boys. It's boys with an I, not boys with a Y.
That's exactly right. But the thing is, I agree with everything we've laid out so far, but also I am now thinking about Sunny Delight, which is what we should have always called it. And I now have a craving for this wonderful, totally real, not at all artificial synthetic juice product that I don't know that I've had in a decade. And I just kind of want to pound a little Sunny D.
Why you
and don't make that a liner.
Too late.
No. I heard the words coming out of my mouth, and I was like reaching to see if I could unplug the microphone before the sound waves made it through.
Couldn't do it.
No, it's too late.
You know what I just stumbled across that I wish I would have remembered with Breland? Do you remember the essentially the mega Lunchables?
Oh yeah, the big kid Lunchables, right?
Yeah. So it wasn't just a pizza. You got it was a whole. It wasn't just like a little circle. It was a big old square. It's like a Chicago deep dish.
Oh yeah, I've Googled it now. Oh, the nachos. Remember the nachos?
Yeah.
The chips were like the size of a quarter, basically, but they were there.
I also found what I've been getting. It's the Oscar Mayer natural meat and cheese plate, and literally here it says, "When your body craves natural stuff, eat these fancy Lunchables." So yeah, they're the fancy ones. They're very good.
So here's the thing.
Not a Lunchable though. It's not it is the grown up Lunchable. Absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm looking at one of them now, and I'm really conflicted because I think it being Oscar Mayer brand makes it so close to qualifying.
Mm-hmm.
But also they're calling them meat and cheese plates.
Yeah.
Like I googled the one that you mentioned, and there's the one by Apple. The brand is Applegate Natural.
Yes.
And it straight up just calls itself a charcuterie plate. And I think the real question is...
I think you would have gotten beat up in school if you brought that.
Well, here's the thing. I think the question is, should we be putting charcuterie in to-go boxes, basically, or should we be making charcuterie boards out of Lunchables? Do you know how stoked I would be if I showed up at someone's house for a party? That's actually the end of the story. It's been a long year.
Just somebody just
how excited I'd be to step in someone else's house. Do you know how stoked beyond my mind I would be if I walked into to a little party and then I saw a charcuterie board that was very clearly just Lunchables laying out there, and they're like flaunting it, like
that'd be hyped.
The label's right there. That would be such. You know what? This is probably a thing already. Someone's probably done this on Pinterest, but just a straight up kind of like late 90s, early 2000s themed party sounds pretty good right now. It's just Lunchables, Sunny D, a little Capri Sun. I don't know what else. What else are we? We're all wearing starter brand windbreakers for sure, for sure. What else are we serving?
I was gonna say we're also wearing light up Skechers shoes.
That's not bad. I got tearaway pants with the buttons on the side.
I mean, do you need to serve anything else? I mean, bagel bites, I guess. You know, some pizza rolls.
Maybe like Dunkaroos and some Gushers.
Oh,
Gushers are still good. I've had Gushers within the last
for sure.
6 months.
But Gushers was they peaked in the 90s.
100%.
But they're still great.
I'm just I've now just Googled 90s
roll-up.
foods. Fruit roll-ups is a good call. Ooh, speaking of the drinks of the era, do you guys remember the little Kool-Aid bottles with the twist-off tops that like make it a little yield?
Yeah, I do.
Oh yeah.
What are those called? Those might still exist. Are those Kool-Aid jammers? Is that
I think you might be
No,
right
those
here.
those are Capri Sun pouches, basically.
Oh, okay.
I'll tell you what else we're serving.
Oh, Kool-Aid Burst.
Yes,
is that what
that's
they're
right.
called?
Yeah.
Boy, I didn't remember that at all. Oh, I'm seeing pictures. Oh man.
Yep,
those
the good
things,
stuff.
If you twisted it wrong, the edges of the plastic would turn you straight up into the Joker. You would all of a sudden, how did I get these scars? So I was chewing on the cap of a Kool-Aid Burst bottle.
Those
oh
are
my
great.
goodness, they really were.
2 things we need to add to our list here.
Okay.
As for drinks as well, you're also going to be getting some High C.
Yes.
High C is good.
Yep, absolutely.
And not only that, but whenever anybody walks in, there's a little bowl, and it has a ring finger. Or what? No, not
ring pops?
A ring pop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because see, like a ring pop is candy, but like you don't have to hold it. It just kind of hangs out on your finger. Just like, check this out.
Maybe we're gonna continue the wearable candy thing. Get those necklaces that are made out of that stuff that's barely candy.
What about the? It was almost like it essentially looked like chapstick or like lipstick.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, you had to you push it up from the bottom, and it's basically a lollipop.
Was it just a push-up? Is that what it was
Yes.
I thought that was the ice cream.
Well, there's also the baby bottle pops.
I've got it here.
Baby bottle pops, Beards, absolutely.
Baby
push
bottle
pop. Push
pops.
pop
Yeah,
is
push
the
pop
candy. I think
is what I was
push up
thinking of. Yeah.
Dude, the baby
baby bottle
the baby bottle candy. Yeah, those were excellent. I'm a big fan of any sort of candy that you can dip into another candy.
The commercials were also so good. Like they had
I remember the commercials.
They had Beards. Find the classic theme song for Baby Bottle Pops.
I'll do my work. Also,
you can find. You just Google it on YouTube. It's there.
Grips.
Oh, the tiny crackers.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are more recent though, right? Those I think are a slightly more recent invention. But those were great. I
found it on a
those...
list of BuzzFeed snacks from the mid 2000s that you'll miss, and it was number 3 on here.
Beers. This is
those
snacks.
still existed.
I don't know if
snacks
it's
from the
like
90s.
in order, but it's just number. Yeah, it's just going down a list.
We're in the 90s.
I think those have
Beards.
survived.
What about
90s, early 2000s.
Are we just doing discontinued ones?
What about Dunkaroos?
No. I mentioned Dunkaroos. I never.
Okay.
They're more iconic than.
I remember the Trix yogurt. That was always my
Oh,
favorite.
what about
yogurt.
Danimals?
Oh, Danimals, yes. The Scooby-Doo fruit
This show is
snacks.
crushing it for people exactly our age.
You couldn't go wrong with Scooby-Doo fruit snacks.
No, you're right. That's true. They were excellent. I probably are still. I guess I don't know.
Somebody just
What issue
text in dollar store Hawaiian Punch gallon jugs. Yeah.
Yes,
that's
100%.
the good stuff. Ooh, the Wonder Ball. Do you remember the Wonder Ball? It was that chocolate ball and it had like stuff on the inside?
Vaguely?
Yeah,
Googling
Wonder
it
Ball.
now. Oh yeah, it's in the foil. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Those also look like they might still exist.
Oh, Chef Boyardee.
Yeah, what I'm realizing is most of the things we remember are straight up just various forms of sugar bombs.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, are you surprised?
Of course.
No, I'm not. I'm not, because like we had pixie sticks, but I'm just thinking that the Lunchables become more and more must-have in sort of the. Are Bugles 90s specific? Do those still exist?
I mean, Bugles definitely. I feel like they definitely exist. I would say they probably
Bugles.
were more of a 2000s though, like kind of like junior high-ish is when I feel like they peaked.
I could really crush some Bugles right now. If I just had a thing of tradition, like original flavored Bugles, and then some like Danimals and a high C right now, or a Sunny D right now, I would crush them.
You remember the Little Hugs fruit barrels?
Fruit barrels?
Little Hugs fruit barrels. I mean, they were just Kool-Aid, but they were just in a barrel instead.
Oh yeah! Now that I've seen them, I don't know if I ever.
They were just juice.
Okay.
I just
You know what this
I
reminds me
just
of?
only ever knew them as juice.
The frozen pops that will also turn you into the Joker with the otter. I think they're like Otter Pops or something. Here's a little pro tip.
That sounds familiar.
Google whatever frozen popsicles in plastic. I guess is where this is. Yeah, sure. Yeah, these are still very much a thing. I think these are less 90s and aughts, and more just like when you were a child, you ate these more often.
Yeah.
But if you Google those, you'll 100% know what I'm talking about. Here's a little pro tip from me to you, friends, and I don't mean just Beards and Rudy. I mean everybody within the sound of my voice right now. I'm going to tell you something wonderful. If you go to Costco, I don't know where it is. Renee just brought them home one time, and then another time, and then another time, and then another time. If you go to Costco, you can get a big plastic barrel full of these pops, except for they're basically wine pops, and there's a lime one, there's like a strawberry one, they're all alcoholic, as am I after having these so often, and they're all really excellent.
So I just came across, like I'm looking at a list, and one of the items on the list is just anything that came out of an Easy Bake Oven. And oh, yes.
Yeah. I think I probably had an Easy Bake Oven at one point.
Also Cosmic Brownies.
Did you guys ever, do you remember, this
Warheads.
is really specific. Oh, Warheads.
Warheads
absolutely.
were.
Those still definitely exist.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And like SpaghettiOs is back on here again. SpaghettiOs.
Did you guys ever have the little toy oven sort of thing?
Easy
that
Bake
would,
Oven?
No, it would like bake plastic and make little like charms and stuff or whatever.
Yeah. My sister had one of those. She also had the Easy Bake Oven that I used to play with all the time when I was hungry.
I'm trying. Don't mix them up.
Yeah, it's bad.
Do you remember what that was called? What those little ovens were called?
Let's see. Is this the? Because I think this is the one we had was Jack's Creepy Crawler's Bug Maker. I just came across this. I don't think this is what you're talking about, but look up Jack's Creepy Crawler Bug Maker. It's essentially that same thing, like what you're talking about. It's slightly, but like it's just you're making bugs. But they're like plastic.
Are they called Shrinky Dinks? They look like I found the phrase. Shrinky
I think
Dink.
No, Shrinky Dinks or something else. That's where I think you had to do that in like a legit oven. Because I remember doing that in like a.
There might have
class
been a
or something.
Shrinky Dink oven though.
Boy, Shrinky Dink definitely has some results here.
It's a great word.
No, it's 2 words.
Yeah, there was a Shrinky Dinks maker. It's purple. It was just like a little Shrinky Dink maker. The Incredible Shrinky Dinks Maker.
We need to take a break, huh?
Yeah.
I swear before the playoff games happen, I'm going to make a really pertinent point about Mitchell Schwartz. It's just now 3 days in the baking, and
in that Easy Bake Oven.
In that Easy Bake Oven making Shrinky Dinks. You can apparently get tomatoes through like Amazon Pantry or whatever.
Yeah.
Why can't I get Lunchables on here?
Oh, you can't?
No, I don't want a uncured pepperoni hors d'oeuvre. No, I want Lunchables for children, but for me. And I want some Sunny D. I don't know why that's so difficult. Amazon doesn't have any of the good stuff anymore.
I found a 6-pack at Sam's Club for $5. Just go buy a bunch of 6-packs.
I'm gonna develop a drinking problem. The thing I'm drinking is gonna be Sunny D. That's gonna be the thing that ultimately pushes me over the edge. How did we? That doesn't matter. Let's take a break.
Take the show with you wherever you go. Listen live on the Sports Radio 810 mobile app and 810WHB.com. The expanded NFL playoffs are here. While the Chiefs rest up for round 2, sit back and enjoy exclusive live coverage of all 6 NFL playoff matchups this weekend on Sports Radio 810 and ESPN Kansas City. 3 games Saturday, 3 games Sunday to kick off the NFL playoffs. Right here on your home for Super Bowl 55, Sports Radio 810 WHB. Presented by CBD American Shaman, Complete Home Concepts, and Victory Ford.
What's up, Casey? This is Kate Head with the Red Door Grill. We've never been more proud of the community we're a part of and the support we've received from all of our 810 listeners. We're looking forward to a great year ahead, and remember to leave your troubles at the door. Get in here, Kansas City.
Hi, this is Mr. Truck KC. Tim Grunout here from Roberts Robinson Chevrolet Buick GMC of Excelsior Springs. Better times are ahead, and we are looking forward to seeing you in our store again soon. Thanks for all your support from Roberts Robinson Chevrolet Buick GMC.
Hey everyone, Les Norman here, host of the Breaking the Norm Show. Since '95, I've made KC my home, and since then, I've seen a World Series champion in 15, a Super Bowl champion in 20, and the greatest fans supporting both. It's the people that make me proud to call KC home. You're passionate about your teams and each other. During this crazy time, keep caring for and loving each other. And thank you for making KC not only the greatest sports city, but also the most caring and helpful place to watch sports. Stay healthy, be safe, don't panic, and keep loving each other well.
Small business owners don't have the patience for nonsense, especially when it comes to their internet provider. They want the best services for the best price. Simply put, that's Spectrum Business. They give you great value, zero nonsense. Just call 833-919-2121. You'll get fast, reliable internet and phone with no contracts and no hidden fees, all for a price that could cut your bill in half. Spectrum Business. Call today, 833-919-2121.
At Central Bank of the Midwest, we are focused on building strong communities across Kansas City. I'm Bill Ferguson, President and CEO. Our strong roots began more than 100 years ago in the heart of the Midwest and continue today across 5 states and 67 communities. Central Bank of the Midwest brings you the best of both worlds, a strong community bank with the resources and technology to deliver a legendary banking experience. Central Bank of the Midwest, strong roots, endless possibilities. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports.
I now have a craving for this wonderful, totally real, not at all artificial synthetic juice product that I don't know that I've had in a decade. And I just kind of want to pound a little Sunny D.
Why you
and don't make that a liner.
Too late.
With Joshua Brisco.
I now have a craving that I don't know that I've had in a decade, and I just kind of want to pound a little Sunny D.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Several things. First of all, this music bed is absolutely rip-off Kanye open there.
Yes.
That was just Black Skinhead.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Also, we have a minute left.
Made in a wonky fashion. What's the name of this song?
Hard as nails.
It should be called Kanye East. I don't know. That's not even the name of the song. I was shook by the liner. The other thing though, good news from the liner. My mic sounds pretty good this week, or these last couple of days. So that's exciting to know that my home studio setup, I feel like it's sounding better than it even did last time we did all this. So that's a silver lining for that liner existing forever now.
I'm not done editing it either. That was the rush.
Yeah.
That was a rush job I kind of had to do.
Understandable.
Yeah, I can beg Beards for 9 straight months to make more intros, and all of a sudden I say pound a little Sunny D, and he's got 17 versions of the same liner all ready to go before the next break. Good work, Beards. Got your priorities in order.
Just kill the Sunny.
You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Rock your home with new tops from Kansas City's best countertop fabricator, Rock Tops. They custom fabricate and install stone surfaces that will make you fall in love with your home. Making homes look incredible is Rock Tops' thing. Being nice just comes naturally. Rock Tops offers carry-out samples and virtual or in-home appointments. Call 913-782-0802 or go to rocktopskc.com. Mention 810 Rocks to receive 10% off right now.
Hi, I'm Rick Edelman with a warning. Millions of people are buying stocks they think are low in price. Watch out. A lot of investors have no idea the risks they're taking. But you're holding steady, right? You haven't made a trade all year. That could be a problem too. With COVID on the scene, you might need more in cash than before, and maybe you need to reduce your market risk as well. Are you sure your portfolio is COVID ready? Call us at Edelman Financial Engines and let's review your investments and your entire financial situation and see if you're in good shape as this crisis continues. It's not the time to go it alone. Call us at 888-PLAN-RIC. Talk with one of my colleagues here at Edelman Financial Engines. We'll review your portfolio and make sure you're ready for what comes next. And we'll help you get through this crisis just like we've helped clients get through every crisis for the past 35 years. Call us at 888-PLAN-RIC. That's 888-PLAN-RIC. Online at ricedelman.com.
No one gives you more Chiefs, news, information, and interviews than your hometown radio station. Sports Radio 810, WHB.
Caught in the back of the end zone. Touchdown, Kelsey.
Yeah, you know it. Let's go.
We'll rest up some guys.
That's what you work your tail off for all season.
I just trust in the coaches. I'm ready to go.
Your exclusive home for the NFL playoffs and Super Bowl 55. Sports Radio 810, WHB. Every weekday on Sports Radio 810, tune in to hear Kansas City's favorite local lineup. At 6 a.m., wake up with the Border Patrol with Stephen St. John and Nate Bucati. At 10, it's The Zone with Jason Anderson. Now at 2, get into the program with Soren Petro. And wrap up your day on Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco. Kansas City's hometown sports station. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
When do you think about your insurance? Chances are it's when you're paying your bill or filing a claim. At Briar Payne Mead, we always think about your insurance. It's what we do. Buying a car, having a baby, building a home, starting a business. Then it's time to call BPM at 913-681-099 or visit us on the web at bpminsurance.com. Great service and extremely competitive rates from the top-rated companies. Briar Payne Mead, 913-681-099. That's 913-681-099.
Kansas City's favorite sports station, 20 years and counting. Sports Radio 810 WHB, Kansas City.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Sean Ryder. The Mets make their first major acquisition under new team owner Steve Cohen, acquiring four-time All-Star shortstop Francisco Lindor and righty Carlos Carrasco from Cleveland for shortstops Ahmed Rosario, Andres Jimenez, and two prospects. Mets GM Sandy Alderson on acquiring Lindor.
There's some players many players that you watch and you appreciate. There are other players you watch and you smile. And that smile is not just, a function of appreciation, but also kind of an empathetic reaction to how they play the game. I think Lindor is the kind of player that makes one smile.
Francisco Lindor has won 2 Gold Gloves. He's eligible for free agency after this coming season. Carlos Carrasco was an 18-game winner in 2017. Buffalo Bills will host their first playoff game in over 2 decades when they take on the Colts on Saturday. Josh Allen might not have his top 2 targets. Receiver Stephon Diggs has an oblique injury. Cole Beasley has a knee injury. Both are questionable. Tampa Bay star wideout Mike Evans back at practice today for the first time since suffering a hyperextended knee in Sunday's regular season finale win over the Falcons. Evans will be a game-time decision for Saturday night's wild-card game at Washington. One final in the NBA just went final. Nets knock off the 76ers 122-109. Joe Harris, 28 points. Kyrie Irving out for Brooklyn due to personal reasons. Snaps Phillies' 5-game winning streak. They're now 7-2.
Friday, with me, Greeny, we're looking ahead to Wild Card Weekend, the best football weekend perhaps we've ever seen. 6 playoff games. I'll give you all 6 winners. It's me, Greeny, starting 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN+.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
And I just kind of want to pound Little Sonny D.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
What's the name of the song, Beards?
This is Spinning Around.
That was horrifying.
Oh, man. Glad to have you back, Beards. Glad you're here.
Me too.
Let's see how quickly I can get that undone. Unbelievable. Well, at this point, my entire Twitter account has been my notifications have been thrown to the wolves, not because of the Play-Doh questions, but because of a long series of conversations that have come up around the Lunchable conversation. So, 2 incredibly important things. I'll update the poll questions now before we get the answers from Jordan Foote, who's on the line at the moment. You can follow him on Twitter at Footnoted, but there's 2 O's, and listen, Jordan, it's still, we'll get to you in a second. It's still hard to explain your Twitter handle out loud sometimes, but it looks good. It's FOOTENOTED. I think I got it. Poll questions from whenever Breland was on with us earlier. 1, did you ever eat Play-Doh? 71% of people are liars. And then when was the last time you ate a Lunchable? That your options are set up by decade. 2020 or 2021, 33%. 2010s through 2020, 31%. And then everybody else has not had a Lunchable since at least 2009. Jordan, when have you most recently eaten a Lunchable? Did you ever eat Play-Doh? Did you ever make Play-Doh Lunchables and eat them?
Okay, Josh, I'm glad that I can still have this conversation and not be too young for it. I was born in '99, but I think I barely caught on to the end of some of your stuff. Like, I would say we have more important things to talk about. Yeah, no, dude, I would say we have more important stuff to talk about, but I'm not sure we do. Like, that's not an indictment on the NFL, but it's kind of a testament to how huge this series of questions is. So
yeah, that's exactly right.
Man, I'm not going to say I ate Play-Doh, but I will admit that I tasted Play-Doh, but then, like, I spit it back out and said it wasn't good. So is that half the lie?
Ooh, okay, so the poll question should have been, this is an incredibly good point. The poll question should have been, have you swallowed Play-Doh?
Yeah. Yeah, because I haven't swallowed Play-Doh, but I guess technically I have eaten Play-Doh before.
I just had to get away from the microphone so we could have a clean cut of what you were just saying, because I could tell that you were about to get your first almost entirely sports liner made for you, so congratulations. It was being made in real time just then. That was a beautiful thing. Are you too young for Lunchables then?
No, dude. The Shake-Up Lunchables are the second best behind the pizza ones, and I'm glad you brought up the Shake-Ups because you would pour the little barbecue packet in there, and it was like heaven.
Yeah, I'd like to think that heaven has better food than that.
Josh, I'm telling you, that was the best.
But here's the thing:
that was the best.
If we living in Kansas City can say with our only mouths that the barbecue chicken Lunchables Shake-Ups is like peak form of barbecue, I don't think we're gonna see heaven. I think we immediately then get sent to the other place.
Okay, I have a couple more for you. Do we have time to bring up a couple more?
Oh, we've got all the time in the world.
Okay. The little ice cream cups that you eat with the wooden spoon, was that a 90s thing for you guys?
I think probably, maybe early 2000s. Yeah, maybe more of a baseball game than anything else in like the slushy form. But also, yeah, absolutely.
The ice cream man would come by and you'd get the SpongeBob thing and you'd take it out and he would have like one eyeball or one tooth.
Yes, 100%, absolutely. Great submission.
I was gonna those little. It was like a cheese and cracker thing, except the crackers were sticks, and it was 8 little sticks and then a little thing of cheese to dip. You know what I'm talking about?
We forgot
that's
about
the first ballot. First ballot.
Oh, wow.
First ballot 90s, 100%.
Yeah.
What are those called?
Stick and cheese.
Yeah, the little breads. They're basically tiny, crunchy breadsticks, and then a synthetic sort of like hard nacho cheese in the end.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I think they were just snack dips.
The roll of Hubba Bubba bubblegum. I don't know if that's still
Also
a thing.
huge.
That was a thing I did as a kid.
They were called Handy Snacks.
Handy Snacks.
Are we sure?
Yeah, I mean, that was the main one. That was the main brand. Was called
That doesn't
Handy
ring a
Snacks.
bell.
Yeah,
That's what they were called?
I think we just all called them like cheese dip or like snack pack type of things. But yeah, I'm looking at boxes of them. Handy
Two
Snacks.
different
I have the
versions.
off-brand.
Two different versions that I have to. So you've got Handy Snacks and then also Mr. Salty.
Mr. Salty?
I don't think I had Mr. Salty.
That was a type of handy snack.
Oh, okay.
So you can get your handy snack, Mr. Salty.
I think I just called them like snack pack, which is also like I know pudding, but I think that's essentially what I just called them.
Oh man, handy snacks, Mr. Salty's really upsetting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm having PTSD now on almost entirely sports. Mr. Salty?
Handy snacks, Mr. Salty.
No way.
Yeah, I'm gonna tweet out the picture after I ask you a very, very serious sports question.
Okay, let's do it.
Huh. Wow. Yeah, this is challenging.
Even Ritz called them Handy Snacks. I think Handy Snacks was like the official name of them.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, this is deeply challenging. Well, while I figure out if I can push through the issue of Handy Snacks, Mr. Salty, showing up as a part of our shared universe, I want you to tell people what you're doing coming up soon on Arrowhead Report. You had an insane idea that you've continued to decide is something that you're going to actually pull off, and it's going to be absolutely nuts.
Okay. So basically, Josh took over Arrowhead Report, which is SI's chief site, and I was debating whether I wanted to throw him under the bus or not live on air since he was nice enough to bring me on his show, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Throw him under. Throw him under. Run him over. Drag
so he
him.
DM'd me, or no, I DM'd him, and then like a month later he replied, and
Yep,
it was
that's on
about
brand.
career advice. So he said, okay, I'll answer your question, and then I have a question. So I replied. It took him another month. Then he comes back and replies and says he wants me to join the site. So, like, I asked him for advice, and then it took 2 months to ask one question that, like, personally I would have replied in, like, 20 seconds. So that is a cautionary tale. Don't DM him.
Well, and also, listen, good things come to those who wait. You know, it's all about God's perfect timing. And, you know, if I would have DM'd you earlier, I might have forgotten that was somewhere in my DM folders. It's also Seth's fault.
It's how the show goes, too, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Josh thing, which it's on brand for him, and that's how he rolls. But needless to say, I did these, like, draft prospect breakdowns, and they were really not rushed, but kind of impromptu last year because we all kind of put everything together on the fly. But this year we have a lot more time on our hands. COVID's going around, so all people like me do is sit and, like, nerd out on football stuff because that's what people like me do. And I'm doing 100 player breakdowns in 100 days on Arrowhead Report, and I put together this little trailer for it. You can follow me on Twitter @footnoted and check that out. And we're going to roll with it. We're going to get 100 of these players broken down, 5 different position groups for the Chiefs. So people really clamor for like offensive line picks and wide receiver, edge rusher, stuff like that. So we broke it down into 5 categories, and I've started putting those together. And then I believe January 19th is the first day they're going to go out, and then we're going to do one a day until the draft. So the draft starts on April 29th, and that'll be the final player. So I'm pretty excited for that, and I hope Josh is too.
I am extremely excited, and also it's crazy. It's a crazy undertaking, but I have no doubt that you'll be able to pull it off, and it'll be excellent. So yeah, follow Jordan on Twitter @footnoted, FOOTENOTED. And you can get all the updates you need there with that project. And I want to talk about some stuff that's actually happening in the current sort of, you know, Chiefs realm and everything. But because it's the bye week, I'm kind of curious as to just your I mean, you mentioned, you know, a bunch of the position groups you're looking at and everything. But I'm kind of curious just where you've landed in terms of what you're most interested to look into deeper, if not even necessarily specific prospects. If some jump out, that's perfectly fine. But whenever you look at what the Chiefs' needs are going to be, and also specifically, you know, looking at draft needs, which can be different than free agent needs. Sometimes they can be the same. But I'm interested in how you've come to the conclusion that, all right, these are the places that I expect the Chiefs to be looking at most closely.
Sure. Well, there's different levels, especially with like a championship caliber team, because you look at a guy like Willie Gay in a COVID offseason where he got drafted in the second round, didn't have much of a program, was kind of virtual or whatever, came in and he hasn't really played all that much until recently, and he showed that he needed that offseason program. So when you have a good team like the Chiefs have, they really don't like plugging and playing guys straight out of the draft. So it's kind of one of those things where you go for talent, but you also are maybe building a little bit for the future because, like, newsflash to everyone, it's kind of a difficult thing to admit. The Chiefs can't pay everybody. Like, that's just how the NFL works. It's going to be interesting to see how they can keep that team together, but the better they draft, the better they're going to be long-term. So I think offensive line is really one of those spots where you can just get guys and say you're going to plug and play, like Lucas Niang. Had he not opted out, he definitely would have got some run this year, especially with all the injuries the Chiefs had and other opt-outs. And then I think along the edge, that's going to be super important because the Chiefs, they're missing that third pass rusher, I think. Treshaun Wharton's done a good job in that role, but Chris Jones and Frank Clark are the two guys there. They're missing a guy like Emmanuel Ogbah. Taco Charlton kind of flashed a little bit in that role before he got hurt. So edge and offensive line are the top two, I think, and then wide receiver because you never know about Sammy Watkins, whether he's going to play. McCole Hardman is a little bit limited in the role that he can play in the offense, and then you have guys like Pringle and Robinson. There's just a lot of moving parts, I think, for the Chiefs that how they draft and how they acquire free agents is going to show how long they can keep this thing rolling.
This might be slightly more specific than you've fully gotten into at this point, but in generalities, it seems like we talked about this a couple days ago on the show, so I feel pretty confident in this one at least. There is a ton of wide receiver talent just constantly pouring out of college football at this point because that sport is evolving in a way that the NFL has been evolving for maybe a little bit longer. But whenever you look at positions, and also, the Chiefs have found over years and years with Andy Reid, really, they've found value from linemen later in drafts, and they've been able to coach them into roles where, I don't know that replacing Nick Allegretti is going to be something high on a potential must-have list next year. And he was an end-of-draft sort of pick. Laurent Duvernay-Tardif was a 6th-round pick. You find examples of those guys all over the place, and it seems like that's something the Chiefs have been able to do pretty effectively. Do you have one of those groups right now when you look at the draft? You say, all right, well, if they're going to get a real edge, it needs to be in the first round. If they're going to get a top-tier or whatever second-tier wide receiver talent, that's got to be in the first round. Or are those places where they maybe could wait until rounds 2 and 3 and still get really quality prospects?
Well, I think this year and really last season also, the draft was really deep for wide receivers, and there was a ton of talent there overall. And I think that's going to be the case again this season. There's guys like all the way from Jamar Chase at the top, and there's a ton of guys at the bottom. Like Chris Olave is a really impressive receiver. We watched him recently. We, assuming that we all watch college football, which not everybody does, but people who are fans tuned in, that guy's impressive. Justin Ross from Clemson is a guy I like. Rashad Bateman from Minnesota. Alabama has an embarrassment of riches at wide receiver. So that's a position where, like, if the Chiefs get to 32 or 31 or wherever they pick and say, we're going to pass on a wideout, I think they'd be okay. The position where, like you said, offensive line, they're just going to find guys, I think, and plug and play. And that's a lot easier to bring in a veteran free agent on a minimum deal and hope he can get one season of productivity. But the edge is like, that's important. And that's something that they're going to have to really invest in, I think, in the draft. I like Patrick Jones out of Pittsburgh. That's really my number one guy right now. The kid from Florida, I'm blanking on his name right now. He's going to be like a top 10, 15 pick. So the Chiefs are no way going to be able to do that. I'm not a big fan of, like, trading up for talent like that when you can probably get something similar a little later and not give up your picks. But it's a deep draft, I think, for several positions, and the Chiefs are going to hopefully get some comp picks to use. So I think they'll be just fine.
Let's talk about what's actually going on now. Then there's a little, wet your whistle for draft time, and we'll talk to you again whenever we're in more of a prospect mode. But with all the things going on right now, we are kind of, listen, the most important thing is obviously to make sure we talk about Lunchables. But in the grand scheme of things, it's a little bit of a lull specifically for the Chiefs. They're not doing media availability right now, and we're waiting to see who they're even going to be playing. But the AFC matchups specifically are really juicy. Like, they're just, I am very legitimately excited for this weekend of games. You can hear them all on Sports Radio 810 WHB, by the way, in case anyone was wondering. But of those AFC matchups, I've asked this question now 15 times to 15 different people, it feels like. But how do you feel about those matchups kind of as their own games? And then which ones do you think present the most interesting storylines to the Chiefs?
Yeah, man, I was talking to Tucker Franklin on the Roughing the Kicker podcast, little shameless plug there. Check that out on arrowheadreport.com. I learned from the best, Josh.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Learn from the best. So I think that, man, this is one of the better wild card weekends, I think, in my lifetime, like matchup-wise, and that I don't know if that makes me feel old or young, but there's a bunch of teams that, there's like, out of the 6, I only had to not think for one of them. Like Chicago and New Orleans on the NFC side, I was like, I don't have to think twice about this. Everything else I kind of had to sit down and process a little bit. Even Colts-Bills, like Buffalo's a team that's getting really all the hype lately because they're hot, they're beating everybody by a lot. They have the fun young quarterback who's an MVP candidate. They're playing the Colts, who you never really know what offense is going to show up. I think that's my favorite AFC matchup. I do like Pittsburgh and Cleveland, but in my opinion, whoever wins that game is going to be worse for wear moving forward. I don't think either of those teams can really do damage come playoff time. The most likely, I guess it would be Buffalo to challenge the Chiefs. They are the 2 seed for a reason, and they do match up fairly well offensively, and they have enough talent on defense to make some plays. But Tennessee and Baltimore are both super interesting to me. I don't think the Chiefs would have too much trouble with either of them, but they're both explosive offenses, and I kind of want to see Patrick Mahomes against the Titans defense. Like, I don't know about you, but I think that would be pretty fun to watch.
That's a good way of framing that, because I'm still kind of annoyed by the Titans in a way that is absolutely biased by a series of things that I have said and believed and been proven right about and whatnot. Because ahead of the AFC Championship game last year, my whole thing was like, Derrick Henry is not going to beat this team. That's if the Titans are going to win, it's going to be through A.J. Brown out of the hand of Ryan Tannehill. And I believe that to be true now as well. But I do think that specific combination of all those guys offensively is as interesting as probably any other offense in the AFC, which, again, I think all 6 teams playing in the AFC this weekend have fun cases to make for maybe not winning one game, but winning a couple, even though I think the Chiefs are better than everybody playing right now. But the Titans' defense being, like, kind of quietly terrible, I think is one of the more underrated parts of this playoff picture.
Yeah, no, and I think it kind of stems from them previously having such a good defense. And, like, it's kind of like Jacksonville, where people say, oh, the Jaguars have a really good defense to build around for Trevor Lawrence or whoever they take. It's going to be Trevor Lawrence. But nevertheless, you can't live off reputation forever. Like, Jacksonville hasn't had that elite defense in a few years. And Tennessee, their defense last year was miles better than it was this year. But because they are coming off an AFC Championship appearance and all that stuff, I think people just kind of cling to that. Like, we talked about this again on RTK about how the Chiefs had that, like, magical Week 11 moment of last season where, like, they put everything together, all the guys started to play better. Then this year happened and everyone said, well, where's the magical improvement? They didn't need to have that, like, drastic, crazy improvement because they were already a pretty solid defense, you know?
And I mean, we even did that for, like, the Ravens, I don't know, 5 years ago or something, where it took a long time to fully come to grips with the fact that they were not, that Ray Lewis wasn't there anymore, and Ed Reed wasn't there anymore, and because it's way easier to follow a quarterback, a receiver, and a running back around because you can follow their fantasy teams, but if you follow them on your fantasy team, but if you're drafting a defense and special teams, it's just the whole unit, and I think so much of that ends up running through fantasy, which is just very strange. Is there a matchup for the Chiefs specifically where you're saying I'm rooting for the Browns this week or the Colts this week or the Titans or Ravens this week because you think that's the storyline or maybe the best matchup?
Storyline-wise, I think that it's really a weak thing. Like, people are still clinging to Lamar and Mahomes as the next Brady Manning or whatever, but it would be Deshaun and Mahomes, but A, Deshaun Watson is on a team that he wants to probably get traded from, and B, he's nowhere near the playoffs. So that isn't going to turn into a thing. And then Lamar hasn't beat Mahomes yet. He came close when the 4th and 9 play happened or whatever, and the Chiefs escaped with a crazy victory. But once you get a lead on Lamar Jackson, he isn't as scary. And that game against the Browns this year kind of not reversed that entire narrative, but made people wake up a little bit to it. I think the Colts are not an interesting matchup in terms of scary, but they're built well in the trenches. They can rush the passer. They have Darius Leonard. They have Kenny Moore. Phillip Rivers, I guess, is a draw for Chiefs fans because they're used to watching him blow games and throw temper tantrums, I guess, and then joking about how many kids he has. So I guess that's something. Le'Veon and the Steelers, I mean, I'm kind of grasping at straws. There's no real storyline matchup there.
But I think, I don't know, you're right that there's not like a huge overarching one for a couple of them, but like, that's sort of the interesting thing. I mean, listen, every time you tweet about Uncle Colin, I get a little sad inside because there was a tweet today of a segment where he's doing a quarterback bracket or whatever. And Josh Allen is the best quarterback in the draft right now, in the league right now. He's more confident than Patrick Mahomes. I don't know what that impression was. If that was I'm not sure. It doesn't matter. But one of the things that I think from the Chiefs' perspective that is always going to be a little boring and a little interesting is the fact that they are the Goliath. Like, they are the team who everyone else is aiming their best shot for. And so it's a little bit it's a little in style to say that Josh Allen's the best quarterback in the AFC right now, or that the Ravens are the hottest offense, or that the Steelers have got it all figured out. Because just saying that the Patriots were probably going to win the Super Bowl for every year for 15 years, that was never a very hot take. And the Chiefs very quickly, I think, started occupying that space.
Yeah, no, you nailed it. And think about like how long it took. I was like 4 years old when all that Brady crap started, but think about how long it took for people to like get tired of Brady or get tired of the Patriots. Look at how long it took the Chiefs. The Chiefs took 1 year and almost got to the Super Bowl, and people were already kind of like, oh, here come the Chiefs, like whatever. And now Mahomes is in year 4, and the NFL's like voter fatigue, just tired of the Chiefs in general. They write them off all the time. It's honestly pretty interesting how it's not like a disrespect thing where people hate the Chiefs, but they're just kind of numb to the insane levels of success that they've been having.
Yeah, I just think it's all fascinating. What do you think about what's currently going on with Houston? You alluded to it briefly. I yelled about it for like an hour to start the show today. It seems like the Texans are failing to keep a healthy relationship with the piece of their organization that matters the most.
Yeah, you never want to have a superstar young quarterback that either doesn't want to be there or is hinting about not wanting to be there, or even like having that narrative created. I've been scrolling on Twitter. I found my poll earlier. I said, hypothetically, if you're San Francisco, the 49ers, would you give up Nick Bosa and 3 first-round picks for Deshaun Watson? Now, Josh, I'm going to ask you your answer, and then I'm going to tell you what the results are right now.
I voted yes on that poll because I think that pretty much – now, the specifics of Bosa is kind of fun, but the Niners have had no issue finding very impactful pass rushers. I think they'd make it work, and that offense would be so fun with Deshaun Watson.
Now, what do you think the split is right now for that?
I think that I promise I'm not looking at it if I get close. I think 54% of people said they would do the trade.
Yes, 54% of people said they would
Are
do
you
the trade.
kidding? Did I nail it?
No, I'm serious. I'm serious. And you got
Unbelievable. Oh, 30. I should have said 53.8%. Oh, my goodness. Oh, what a no-scope. Sorry.
Yeah,
Ask Beards instead. Beards is way better at this sort of thing. Ask Beards the same question and what he thinks the percentage is. I'm sorry I ruined
I didn't hear the question, so I have a clean take.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Beards, here we go.
Okay.
So I ran a Twitter poll. Hypothetically, if you're the 49ers, would you give up Nick Bosa and 3 first-round picks for Watson? Now, out of the 1,538 votes, what percentage do you think said yes?
95.
54.
Whoa, Beards, you were so wrong. Holy,
You would
only
think
what?
like
Only
95.
54%.
Yeah.
I thought Beards was gonna nail it. Beards is so much better at that.
I did too.
Well, that should have been what it was. Like,
It
if you
should
don't
have
know,
been.
then I don't know what you're aiming for.
Well, listen, with those 3 first-round picks, they could. Seth Kaiser would say they could get 3 boats. That's a very specific reference to one of Seth's favorite little mystery boxes. Behind door number 3 could be a boat. But I don't. There were some Dolphins fans that I saw because Alan Pupar, who covers the Dolphins for SI and All Dolphins, he was on the show with us before the Dolphins game. He had tweeted, like, someone had asked, like, it was almost kind of. It wasn't fully mocking, but it was sort of like snobby of like, of course you wouldn't do this. So you'd trade Tua, the number 3 pick, and the number 34 pick for Deshaun Watson? And anyone who doesn't say they would do that in a manner that would hurt themselves physically to make sure that they were hitting whatever buttons they needed to appropriately quickly, I don't know, man. You tell me, what is the disconnect that some people have in terms of the value of draft picks, and then even whenever you have someone who is as sure a thing as you're going to ever see on a potential trade market for a young generational quarterback?
I guess people cling to the Joe Flacco's of the world who got to a Super Bowl, won a Super Bowl. They cling to the Jimmy G's who got to a Super Bowl just a year ago and played the Chiefs, but they don't – I think it's kind of the instant gratification thing. People want to be in the best position for 1 year to win or 1 year to make the playoffs or 1 year to do this. But then simultaneously, they don't want to give up the draft picks because they think that those picks could turn into sure players. Like, you're playing let's make a deal, and you're saying what's behind door number 1, 2, 3 with your first-round pick. It could be anything. It could be 3 Deshaun Watsons. It could be 2 Deshaun Watsons and a Nick Bosa. It could be 3 Jamarcus Russells. Like, the odds of that are extremely low, but it's possible. And you don't want to give up Bosa, who you have a great enough defense already to where they'd be fine without him relatively, and 3 first-round picks for a guy who will keep you in the Super Bowl conversation for the rest of his career. Like, I just don't get that.
Yeah. I don't know either. I think Beards brought this up with Tua specifically, that he was the savior for that team for basically 2 years because it was tanking for Tua, and then you're looking ahead for Tua, and then Tua plays, and then it doesn't go like how you'd expect. And it's just the crazy thing is that, you know, even if that did, you kind of had to wave the white flag a little bit. That's not even the same thing as cutting bait with Josh Rosen to draft Kyler Murray, which also obviously was the right move in retrospect for the Cardinals. It would be sort of parlaying Tua into like a top 2 quarterback, I think, for guys you would take for the next 10 years. Like, that's not a loss. You don't have to take an L on that. You can say that Tua helped us get Deshaun Watson. God bless.
Yeah, like, if you can trade in your minivan and get, like, a head start on your, like, Corvette or your Ferrari, then I think you can, like, be reasonable in doing that. Because Tua is fine. Like, he's still young. He's probably still not working his way back physically from the injury, but mentally and learning how to take chances and take hits. But, like, Deshaun Watson's a top 10 quarterback at the very worst and probably close to a top 5 guy. He's young. His contract isn't horrible next year. Like, it's a no-brainer for me. You got to do it.
Yeah. And my best guess is that Houston figures it out on some level, that this little blow-up from tonight probably sparks some sort of conversation in the upper management in Houston. But if not, I hope he doesn't end up in the AFC West, although I kind of do. I'm kind of beyond being, like, afraid on behalf of the Chiefs. They're going to be fine. Can you imagine just John Gruden, Deshaun Watson for a few more years? I would. You know what?
Yeah.
I'd be around for it. I'd be keeping an eye.
Well, or even Eric Bieniemy and Justin Herbert. Like, that would be a crazy combo because Herbert's a damn good quarterback, and EB going there would be insane. Like, I'm fully embracing any opportunity the Chiefs would be presented with to have competition. Like, if the Broncos randomly turn into a juggernaut next year with Drew Lock, which obviously isn't going to happen as much as I love the guy, I would embrace it and say the Chiefs now have some competition. Or if the Raiders turn out to improve a little bit more to like a 10-win team instead of 8, which how about that victory lap and then finishing 8-8? Like, is there any better example of poetic justice than that?
No, the Raiders, they're perfect. They're just perfect. Like, it's Derek Carr having a blazing MVP candidacy after going 3-2 over the first 5 weeks of beating the Chiefs, and then Marcus Mariota maybe having the best half of Raiders quarterbacking of the year, and then he gets yanked again anyway, and the Raiders go 8-8. They're perfect. They're a perfect football team.
Yeah, it's great. It's kind of fun, like watching the Chiefs and analyzing the Chiefs and growing up rooting for the Chiefs and knowing what they've been through, to kind of look around the league and say, oh, look at that team, ha, 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 or oh, look at that team, they're goofing up. Like, it's really fun because the Chiefs, like, I don't know if this is a hot take, I'm going to guess no. The Chiefs aren't going anywhere anytime soon. Like, as long as Mahomes and Reed are there, they're going to be at least in the playoffs and at least in that Super Bowl conversation every single year.
Yep. Jordan, I appreciate you making time for us tonight. I appreciate the undertaking that you're going to be picking up the 100 prospects in 100 days over on Arrowhead Report. You can follow the Arrowhead Report account at SI Chiefs on Twitter. But more importantly, go follow Footnoted on Twitter, Footenotted, because his last name is Foot, Foote, and then it's Footnoted. You guys get it, right? Everybody gets it?
This is your Twitter handle, Josh.
I brought at Tucker D. Franklin, at Sean Z. Collins, and at Footnoted into the Twitter worlds in their current forms. Yours is admittedly because your name isn't spelled like the first half of the word footnote usually would be.
Or like Brisco with an E.
That's exactly right. I lost my E and gave it to you to put in the middle of your Twitter handle at the end of your name. It's punny, but it looks so good in the written form. It's just tagging you for in the tweet. Rudy, you can attest to this, I imagine.
Mm-hmm.
You're writing up the tweets, tagging our guests and everything, saying plus Footnoted at 9 to talk about his new project on @SI Chiefs. I mean, it just flows.
Mm-hmm. It does. It makes me feel good, especially because every time I put in your handle, there should be an E there, and so it just makes me feel a little uncomfortable not having the E.
Yeah, you only
so
like typing handles with E's in it. Yeah,
it helps offset.
The next time you leave your laptop open in the office, I'm going to change your username to not that Rudy, but the Y is going to turn into 2 E's.
Or IE.
It's a nightmare.
IE would also be excellent.
Yeah,
not that Rudy. Yeah, that's very good. Jordan, thank you again, and we will talk to you soon. Go get back to crunching the tape.
Yep. All right. Thanks a lot, Josh. Thanks, guys.
Follow Jordan on Twitter @Footnoted. You can check out his work up on Arrowhead Report. He's written some great stuff that's not prospect related at all. A series of great columns. He's writing the Footnoted columns on Mondays, and really just, again, excellent work the whole way through. The most recent piece is up on the site right now. It's about Darwin Thompson. It's excellent. Everything Jordan's written for 8 months has been excellent. You can go check that out. Follow him on Twitter. And we'll take a break. Whenever we come back, I'm going to introduce a topic that Beards, of all people, is going to be extremely excited to talk about.
Ooh.
That's next.
Want more Almost Entirely Sports? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 Facebook page.
Another reading from the Golden Oak Lending Book of Mortgage Lingo. What is a cash-out refinance? It's doing a cannonball from your porch.
Watch out!
That new car smell. A new college graduate in the family.
With a BA in business and a minor in medieval Renaissance poetry.
Reading the words, paid in full.
Woo-hoo! Did it!
At Golden Oak Lending, we speak mortgage and love translating it for our customers. Right now, rates are at a low 2.5%. Call 913-890-GOLD or visit us online at goldenoaklending.com and talk with an experienced local loan officer who will guide you every step of the way. NMLS 114937, 2.5% fixed, 2.655% APR on conventional 15-year mortgage with 30% equity and approved credit. JLB Corporation, 8595 College Boulevard, Overland Park, Kansas.
More time at home means more washing, drying, cooking, and cleaning at home, and more wear and tear on old appliances. But it's the perfect time to save on new ones at the Home Depot. For savings on the latest appliances, and right now, free delivery. From the kitchen to the laundry room, that upgrade is well within reach. And closer than ever. Save on top appliances, now at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. U.S. only while supplies last. Free delivery on major appliances, $396 or more, valid through January 27th.
Oh, ship! I need to get this package downtown by noon.
Don't worry! There's a brand new on-demand delivery service by Z-Trip. It's Z-Shipping.
Are you shipping me?
No, we're shipping your packages.
For the quickest, affordable, on-demand courier service, visit zshipping.com. zshipping.com. Let Z-Ship help you with your delivery needs. That's zshipping.com.
This is your moment to take the path less traveled, to break the status quo, to stop talking about the problem and be the solution. This is your moment to shape the future. This is your moment to be the greater good. Join America.
Sponsored by the Missouri Community Service Commission and the Corporation for National and Community Service.
The expanded NFL playoffs are here. While the Chiefs rest up for round 2, sit back and enjoy exclusive live coverage of all 6 NFL playoff matchups this weekend on Sports Radio 810 and ESPN Kansas City. 3 games Saturday, 3 games Sunday to kick off the NFL playoffs. Right here on your home for Super Bowl 55, Sports Radio 810. WHB, presented by CBD American Shaman, Complete Home Concepts, and Victory Ford. This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
Landon, click on the microphone. Get up here, Landon. What do you get at Good Sense? Go.
Ham and cheese, nothing on it.
Stop it! Stop it! I can't.
Joke's on you, Landon. They have Pepsi.
I can't.
I know better. I do it.
That's how you get one. Which one is the fake beards and which one is the real beards? You get one question, and it's what do you get at Good Sense?
I know which stores have Pepsi and which don't.
And he also didn't ask for 2 chocolate chip cookies.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
I like this one. What's the name of this royalty-free music bed, Beard?
This one is called L.A. Dreams.
So it kind of almost feels like I could see Childish Gambino laying a track to this song.
See, and that's the thing is, this is like adolescent Gambini. You know, it's everything's off by like a degree or two. But I don't hate this beat at all.
No, it's not bad.
I'm okay with this. Here's the topic that I know Beards is going to be engaged with here for this segment. I meant to mention it about an hour and a half ago whenever I saw it for the first time, but the show's moved too fast today. This is from Brandon Robinson on Twitter. Kyrie Irving's reasoning for not playing in tonight's game, per a close source, quote, I just didn't want to play.
I mean, he's honest.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. He's honest, I guess.
So you guys are going to see it, so I'm just going to say it.
Uh-oh.
Denver Nuggets forward Michael Porter Jr. is facing a minimum of 10 additional quarantine days due to health and safety protocols, league sources tell Shams. So I don't know what happened, but it's going to be a minute.
Does he have it?
I don't know. I like it almost feels because again, like he was out initially essentially for contact tracing, and my guess is he probably just based off the way this tweet is. This tweet makes it sound like he broke quarantine rules before he was supposed to break quarantine rules. Like he left the house early.
Here's a tweet from Joe Varden from before the one I just read you from Brandon Robinson. Steve Nash said he does not know why Kyrie Irving won't play tonight against the Sixers, as in he is unaware of what Kyrie Irving's personal issue is. Nash said he reached out to Kyrie and did not hear back. We're like, what, 8 games into the Nets season?
To be fair, I don't know if this is Kyrie being dysfunctional.
I think it's just Kyrie being Kyrie.
Exactly.
Is the thing.
Right. Yeah, I'm not accusing dysfunction. I'm accusing the exact function that we expected. Also, they beat the Sixers without KD or Kyrie, so Steve Nash, clearly a god. I am certainly the Nets are my like sort of honorary team of some sort. You know, I'm not actively rooting for them,
but they got Amari Stoudemire. They got D'Antoni.
Oh, they do. Stoudemire. I forgot about that.
Yeah, they do, dude. It's unbelievable.
They've got the whole.
And D'Antoni's an assistant. Yeah, it's
they've
unbelievable.
got that whole Suns, core. Just wait till they hire Raja Bell to be the defensive coordinator.
I was just gonna say he's doing podcast for the Ringer right now. If only they'd hired Raja.
I mean, he can teach defense. He's the defensive coordinator.
He could.
Is Jared Dudley still playing somewhere?
Probably.
I think he's still a Laker.
Is he really?
I think so.
He's got to be old. Right? He's 35. And a Laker, it looks like. Unbelievable. Anyway, Beards, did you have anything on Kyrie?
No, not really.
Okay.
I will say I'm intrigued by how this net season goes because before the season starts, I'll usually write down I'll kind of put a little power ranking thing together of where I think teams might end up in the East and the West. And then I picked an MVP, who I think might be MVP, and I went with Durant. So it'll be interesting to see with Kyrie there as well how all that goes out.
Whoo! Sorry.
Good take.
So you made a power rankings and haven't told us? Why have you not unveiled this on the show?
Good point.
Sorry, Jamal Murray just had a 3 at the buzzer, so I got a little hyped.
Unbelievable. Would you mind finding our crappiest breaking news sound effects?
Oh,
I need it.
Hang on.
Breaking news.
We got some breaking news. Some
Boban.
breaking news.
Oh, no.
Boban is still a Nuggets killer.
Hang on. I gotta find it in the system. It got no.
right.
The
I'm not gonna say the news until I have a proper introduction.
Breaking news. Is this the right one?
I'm not gonna.
We're gonna find out together. That was the right one.
Source tells The Athletic Michigan and Jim Harbaugh are close to finalizing a 5-year deal. Expected base salary is $4 million. With incentives, he could get it back to $8 million. Buyout is expected to be low. Harbaugh hasn't signed, is expected to soon. That is courtesy of Nick Baumgartner of The Athletic.
The plot twist there was good.
It doesn't seem good for Harbaugh in Michigan. Less money, lower buyout. Feels like he might be just like, hey guys, please, I can turn this around. Please, dear God, I'll take less money. I can turn it around.
I guess, but it's an extension though. It's not like a restructuring.
Yeah, but like he's losing money. Like his base salary is being dropped. When the buyout decreases, like that, like you have lost so much job security. Not that schools are afraid to pay you $25 million to go elsewhere, but
yeah, but he also got an if it was an extension for $19 with no buyout.
So like, and this has happened, and Gus Malzahn obviously got a lot of money, but like he signed a contract extension basically as a last hurrah that actually lowered his buyout quite a bit as well. Now it was still a lot at $21 million. So like it's. Like you see, this does not happen a lot, but this sometimes the few times I've seen it happen has always been in a situation where basically the coach is like, maybe about to get fired, and this is almost like him being like, no, trust me, I can do this. Don't fire me.
Beard's breaking news again. More details from Shams. Porter Jr. finished a 7-day quarantine this week due to contact tracing protocols. Yep. And now faces an additional quarantine period in the 10 to 14-day range, sources said.
I want to know, though, why. I assume it means he broke quarantine, like he left, right? Like he went somewhere when he was not supposed to go anywhere.
Appears breaking news.
Ooh, I got breaking news, too.
Michael Porter Jr. broke quarantine. One more beer. There you go.
It didn't play.
Rudy, what's your breaking news? Wait for the liner.
14 days from today is January 21st. The Nuggets play the Suns on January 22nd. He'll be back, baby.
Oh man, that'll be his first game back from COVID.
And he's gonna be ready.
I don't want to see him. I don't want to see him.
He'll be rested.
4 minutes, and yeah,
he's gonna have 3 weeks of rest. He's gonna be good. He's gonna feel good. Breaking news.
Oh my God.
A Nuggets Reddit user said he recently saw him at a gym in Denver.
I mean, that is in fact breaking news. Yeah. Well, yeah, right. I said the words. That's on me, actually. That one's my fault. I have found more pictures of this. Well, Rudy, can you explain the thing that you tweeted out a little bit ago?
Yes. This. Okay. Yeah. So have you clicked on the thread and looked at some of the pictures? Because there's one picture in particular that's really good.
Hang on.
It is now trending on Twitter, and so I am scrolling down the.
It is a Gengar, and if you don't know what a Gengar is, it's a Pokemon, one of the originals.
It's a purple Pokemon with a big pink tongue.
And it's a plush. And yeah, it is a Pokemon known for having a large tongue. And
it's not a Lickitung, though. I don't think it's not a Lickitung.
Not a Lickitung. Its tongue is not typically that long. But the Pokemon Company made a plush where the tongue is very long, and it comes out of said mouth. And you can use it as to either lay on like a bed or maybe like a cover. And
I'm working on putting it up on Twitter right now. Or on the not Twitter, on the video
stream.
feed.
Yeah, because
Excellent.
Because words don't really do it justice. And honestly, it looks like you can put your head inside of its mouth and use it as a pillow.
It is up on the video feed.
And if you
there are several different forms of it that are very good. I'm tweeting one out right now.
I want to see the one that you're seeing, because if you go to the thread, you can see other pictures of of their model demonstrating, how you can use it.
You guys can go check on.
That's the one. Yeah, that's the one.
You can go on Twitter at JB Brisco.
Do people is that how people sleep?
I've never. So if you're not, you have to go see it.
I don't know how to
explain
it.
Though,
Yeah,
no, I don't know either.
I don't know how you explain that.
Which picture is it you guys were talking about?
The one that
I just tweeted it.
Yeah, Josh just tweeted it out. I don't know how you explain it.
Here's the thing about it. Basically all of the different ways that you can use it are confusing to me, except for the one where he's laying on his back and his head is inside the Gengar's open mouth.
I put that one on the feed.
Because the thing that one makes sense because you can use it as a pillow and you get basically a thin blanket beneath you.
For sure.
Pretty much every other form is so confusing.
Yeah.
One is just this man rolled up in the Gengar tongue, so it's like he has a blanket around his shoulders and midsection, but that's it? I don't know.
Breaking news. Kyrie Irving is not expected to join the Nets on their flight to Memphis tonight, per a source. He's not coming, is what I was told.
Also, I just found the picture on there. It's the dimensions of what it looks like when the guy's head is inside the Gengar.
Yeah.
And it shows the tongue. It's great.
I'm looking at that one now.
The one
also.
where it is wrapped around his torso, like his arms. It's
yeah. I'm looking at the one with the dimensions right now, and this angle also shows you that it feels like his head's really crammed in there, and it doesn't look very comfortable. But it's also, I think, especially if that would have come out in 2021, I feel like that really could have turned our whole year around. But maybe it's just what we need to keep us moving in the right direction this year.
I think we all really like the picture you tweeted out, Josh. I mean, that's really how we've all felt the last 9 months now.
I mean, the one that I just tweeted is how I felt the last 26 years.
That's fair. That's fair.
Breaking news, Beards. Breaking news. We got to take a break right now.
At JB Brisco, at Beards McFly, at Not That Rudy, at Sports Radio 810. Just do it already.
A reading from the Golden Oak Lending Book of Mortgage Lingo. What is Zipline? It's Golden Oak's fast and easy online mortgage tool that leaves you with more time to plan a family movie night.
I get to pick the movie.
And clean up the popcorn you weren't planning on sharing. At Golden Oak Lending, we speak mortgage and love translating it. Right now, rates are at a historic low 2.5%. Visit goldenoaklending.com to use Zipline. NMLS 114937, 2.5% fixed, 2.655% APR on a conventional 15-year mortgage with 30% equity and approved credit. JLB Corporation, 8595 College Boulevard, Overland Park, Kansas.
Are you listening to Almost Entirely Sports on Sports Radio 810?
I think we had a Patrick Mahomes jersey over in the 810 studio.
We did. I know.
I don't know what's happened to that. Shh. Oh, I'm sorry.
It was a medium, so I'm currently on a starvation diet so I can fit into it. I mean...
we had a Patrick Mahomes jersey that just disappeared? Ooh, spooky.
Almost Entirely Sports. Weeknights on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Every Wednesday at 6, it's Crunch Time Prime Time on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Me and my buddy Frank Bowe will bring you all the latest Chiefs news all season long. You guys know I'm a big believer in CBD. We will tell you a little bit about the latest products and benefits of CBD. And if you want to try any of their great products, you could stop into any of the American Shaman stores for a free sample.
Crunch Time, Wednesdays at 6 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
When do you think about your insurance? Chances are it's when you're paying your bill or filing a claim. At Briar Payne Mead, we always think about your insurance. It's what we do. Buying a car, having a baby, building a home, starting a business. Then it's time to call BPM at 913-681-099 or visit us on the web at bpminsurance.com. Great service and extremely competitive rates from the top-rated companies. Briar Payne Mead, 913-681-099. That's 913-681-099.
A KC tradition since 1957, Hereford House is a locally owned steakhouse that has served generations of Kansas Cityans. Hereford House exclusively serves certified Hereford beef, which has been proven to be naturally more tender and flavorful than other brands. All their steaks are aged 21 days, hand-cut daily, and grilled over an open charcoal flame. This process provides a wonderful aroma and delicious flavor that cannot be duplicated by any other cooking method. Hereford House, Leawood, Independence, Shawnee, and Zona Rosa.
Every weekday on Sports Radio 810, tune in to hear Kansas City's favorite local lineup. At 6 a.m., wake up with the Border Patrol with Stephen St. John and Nate Bucati. At 10, it's The Zone with Jason Anderson. Now at 2, get into the program with Soren Petro. And wrap up your day on Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco. Kansas City's hometown sports station. Sports Radio 810 WHB. This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
Because here's the thing. People say money doesn't buy happiness. Not true. Money can buy a jet ski. I've never seen anybody not smile on a jet ski.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
I just realized what this song sounds like, this royalty-free music bed. I'll explain one more time that we're using royalty-free music because we're streaming on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. All great. All extremely happy to have that figured out. But also, we don't want to accidentally get DMCA striked. What is the name of this song, Beards?
This one is called This Island Light.
It sounds like the song Lights, I think, like Ellie Goulding or something. Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong one. But that is definitely, if you just played this into like Shazam or whatever, it'd be like, oh yeah, it's the song that says the word lights in it a bunch in a kind of like electronic way. Anyway, Rudy, I was told that you found a couple of some information on the Gengar plush and then also something else.
Yeah, so the Gengar plush is currently sold out, and it costs $250. You could buy it at a Premium Bandai's website. I just want to read this sentence. It's how to use your Gengar. Gengar offers a superb amount of flexibility. Roll its tongue up as a pillow, skip the face mask and rest your eyes in its mouth, roll up tight, or just use its tongue as a light blanket. Now, if you're wondering what Premium Bandai is, it's like Bandai Namco, but it's our website. But Premium Bandai has made something before. They are the creators of the Metapod sack. It is a Metapod chair you can wrap yourself in.
Is that in stock?
And it costs $330. I'm guessing it is not.
Let's get one for the office.
We need both. We really do need both.
I mean, it would be extremely on brand. Yeah, I think we
can we buy them in Jazz Bucks?
Yeah, probably. We could probably. I feel like we could run that up the flagpole and just try to get, maybe we get 50% covered. It'll make us better at our jobs for sure. Think about how well rested we'll be.
I'll never have to leave.
Boy, this again, similarly to the Gengar plush, the way that people are using it in the images, the angles they are choosing, like on the ground, legs up on the wall, really creative. Thanks to Breland Moore and Jordan Foote for joining us tonight. We'll do it again tomorrow. Until then, bye, Mom.
You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
A KC tradition since 1957, Hereford House is